Chapter 76. She is not dead, but not far from death. At this time, the decayed parts spread around her body, her abdomen, the meat on the dragon's ribs had melted away, plus the hideous wounds caused by the light of death before hitting her body. Originally, that extremely beautiful dragon has now become ugly. Bibi Dong fell from the sky and came to the front of the Xinjiao glory dragon. Above her magic wand, the light of death gathered, intending to give her a knife on her deathbed. Trial, your trial is over. Didn't you find out? My life has been frozen. Even if you use any attack, you can't kill me, and I won't be attacking you. Xinjiao Guanghualong said calmly. Bibi Dong discovered this too, her body stopped decaying, and she was only the last breath left before she died, as if she was hung, and did not die immediately. The trial is over, what do you want to do with the rest? Bibi Dong asked. She pointed out the dragon's claws that had not been decayed. The dragon's claws were wrapped in starlight, and finally turned into a series of light spots. The light spots converged towards Bibi Dong's right hand. This is as a reward for you to pass my trial. My external soul bone, Starlight Claw, can also be called Star Dragon Claw. It comes with two skills, one is Starlight Claw and the other is Wave Light. Barrier. Xinjiao Guanghualong said. Bibi Dong's right hand seemed to have something about to grow out. The next moment, as white as a jade hand, on the back of the hand, 3 sharp dragon claws stretched out, about 50 centimeters in length. Then she thought, when the system cleared the second level of Secret Realm, there was a reward for the external soul bone, which happened to be the claw of the star. It turns out that the reward is to be obtained here. The next thing is very important, trial, your real opponent is not me, but the depths of the dragon burial ground, the Queen of Sadness Dragon. Xinjiao Guanghualong said. Xinjiao Guanghualong said, would you like to hear my story with her? Well, tell me. Bibi Dong said. It was not that she defeated the shining dragon, but that the scratch that the Queen of Sadness left on her body defeated her. Without this scratch, Bibi Dong himself would never be able to defeat this heyday 100,000 year soul beast. As the final boss of this level, Bibi Dong desperately wanted to know her information. Next, Xinjiao Guanghualong narrated the past of the Queen of Sadness to Bibi Dong. It turns out that she and the Queen of Sadness, Dragon, were both from the Earth Dragon clan, and they were even sisters, but their encounters were completely different. She was blessed by the Star God, and she evolved from an Earth Dragon crawling on the earth to a perfect Star Dragon, and became the object of the Dragon clan's stars holding the moon. Conversely, her big sis became the object of rejection by the entire Dragon clan because of Xionation's flaws. Even parents would not wait to see Xionation's missing dragon. As little sister, she became her only relative among the Dragon clan, but she wanted to accept the inheritance of the Star God, so she left the Dragon clan and went to the starry sky until she returned. When I accepted the inheritance of the Star God and gained the power of the Star God, she had already wiped out the entire Earth Dragon clan, including our parents. The wound on my body was left by her. Xinjiao Guanghualong said, I hate her, but I also understand the pain in her heart. Maybe you can keep going, maybe, it will be a new samsara, and the one who comes to me is a new tester. As a tester, after completing my trial, you will be able to obtain 2 skills from my hands. Choose one of the 2 skills. Xinjiao Guanghualong said. I won't say more about the extra hints, please choose. In front of Bibi Dong, a floating frame appeared, and all her 2 abilities were displayed on the floating frame. Xin Yao, activate, Ascension owns 10 times its comprehensive strength, duration, 1 hour. No side effects. Starlight Grace, dispelling effect. Passively can dispel the negative influence of the target's surroundings on itself. Active application can relieve the target's own negative state and quickly restore the target's own injuries. This, how do ordinary people need to choose? Xinjiao Glory Dragon's skills. Xinjiao has completely informed Bibi Dong's unreasonableness through actual combat. There are no side effects, 10 times the comprehensive attribute ascension, and the duration is 1 hour. Once launched, 10 times the combat power, can you directly block and kill the gods and Buddhas? Ordinary people would make this choice, let alone a 200,000-year-old soul beast, but a 400,000-year-old soul beast. In the face of this unreasonable increase, the old lady will kill it for you. But soon, Bibi Dong calmed down. Most people know how to choose the option is really good. This 200,000-year soul beast must be Bufan, otherwise, what about the Starlight Radiant Dragon and other testers with such skills? Could die in her hands? The outside world is full of restlessness. Bibi Dong said. Xinjiao Luminous Dragon nodded and said, it seems that you have also noticed that the soul beast in the place where the dragon is buried is affected by the aura that she radiates. After I die, there will be no space in this space. In a clean place, you will be affected by this breath all the time. Bibi Dong remembered the previous battle, when the Starlight Radiance Dragon launched the Starlight Grace, it was indeed able to repel the influence of this breath. I choose Starlight Grace. Bibi Dong said. Why? Xinjiao Guanghualong asked. Ascension 10 times the combat power is good, but I need a clear head more. Bibi Dong said. You made a correct choice. At least, in my memory, the losers will basically choose my strongest skills. Xinjiao Guanghualong said weakly, I hope you can save my big sis. Tell her that it was not that I left deliberately, but that I accepted the inheritance of the star god and had to leave the dragon tribe. A ray of light flew out of her body and sank into Bibi Dong's body. She directly obtained the special ability of the Starlight Glory Dragon, Starlight Grace. The power of the rules that had frozen her life disappeared instantly, the rotting breath quickly spread, and the dragon fell. At the same time, with her death, the starlight aura of the starlight forest dissipated, and the dragon burial land continued to erode this forest. The trees withered away, the vitality of the earth gradually disappeared, and the creatures inhabiting the starlight forest. Because of this, he was infected by the breath and became a lot violent. Save. Bibi Dong smiled bitterly, looking at the dragon corpse in front of him. Her goal is to clear the level. Clearing the level will naturally kill the boss. Otherwise, she will always be trapped in this trial space. As the boss of this level, her big sis, she will naturally have to tackle the problem. In this way, how can she save it? The death of Xinglong opened Bibi Dong's restraint. She obtained the cultivation base of 100,000 years. At least, the boss could not be released. She almost walked sideways in this space. But Bibi Dong did not relax. However, little sister is so powerful, how powerful should the big sis that hurt little sister so much? The spirit beast boss in the trial space cannot be judged by common sense at all. The boss in the last level, the Nightmare Heavenly Demon, is also a bug-level existence. Chapter 77. The death of the Star Dragon means that the Starlight Forest has also been assimilated by the land of the Dragon Burial. Facts proved that Bibi Dong's option was not wrong. When the familiar aura of restlessness was permeated in the Starlight Forest, her ability, Starlight Grace, passively dispelled this aura. She doesn't need to use the Starlight Forest as a base to explore the surroundings. She can go anywhere except the core area where the boss exists. With the previous experience, before challenging the boss, she chose to mop up and kill all soul beasts above the 10,000 year level in the entire Dragon Burial Land. While hunting the soul beasts, as Bibi Dong's cultivation base entered the 100,000 year old cultivation base, her cultivation base also continued to ascension. Before the 10,000 year soul beasts in this world had been wiped out, Bibi Dong's cultivation base had already reached the limit of 200,000 years. This made Bibi Dong a little confused. She was 1 year behind the boss in the last level of cultivation base, but this year cultivation base was the gap between the 10,000 year soul beast and the 100,000 year soul beast. In this level, she originally thought that the rules of this world would be stuck on the cultivation base age limit. For example, let her 150,000 year cultivation base challenge the 200,000 year old fierce beast boss. But what is beyond Bibi Dong's expectation is that her cultivation base is the same as the boss. Of course, she didn't have any chances. Judging from the experience of using Secret Realm several times, the stronger the strength of own, it will only mean that the boss is more terrifying. After basically going to any place, Bibi Dong reluctantly headed to the core area. Xinjiao Brilliant Dragon brought her 1,000 points, while the number of other 10,000 years soul beasts was far more than that of the first layer, bringing her more than 9,000 points. Adding the two, Bibi Dong's points directly exceeded 10,000. Of course, you have to survive this game. Such a generous reward can be taken away from this world. The aura of restlessness becomes stronger as you go to the place of the dragon burial. There are a large number of 10,000 year soul beasts living in the core place, and the age is not generally high, and even reaches the level of 90,000 years. These soul beasts were enslaved by this aura, and there was only killing in their consciousness, continuous killing. 10,000 years of soul beasts, each other, constantly fighting and devouring each other, every moment there are soul beasts falling here. Bibi Dong quickly joined the fighting battlefield and persuaded the 10,000-year soul beasts to fight. The picture is like this: don't fight, don't fight. Go to death, become my points. After sweeping away the 10,000 years soul beast in the core area, he walked to the core of the core, a huge dragon's nest built of bones. Here is the source of all evil that caused the spirit beast riot. Even the 100,000-year soul beast would be affected by it. If the divine skill Bibi Dong chose was not Starlight Grace, but Xin Yao, she might have been affected by this restless aura and turned into a soul beast that only knew how to kill. Bibi Dong walked into this huge dragon's nest step by step. All around, the nests built with bones made Bibi Dong feel terrified. Walking into the dragon's nest, the inside was not the picture of a lot of gold and silver jewels that Bibi Dong liked in the impression of the dragon, but a huge swamp. The sludge exudes a rancid smell. Even if it adapts to the smell of the dragon burial place, it is almost disgusting by the tangy smell. The 200,000-year-old mental energy let Bibi Dong know that in this quagmire, there are countless 10,000-year soul beasts buried, and it is their bones that emit this rancid smell. In the quagmire, there is still a powerful existence. She is coming out of the depths of the quagmire. The next moment, mud soup was splashing, and a dragon came out of the mud. Her scarlet eyes looked at Bibi Dong. Are you the one who came to challenge me? A hoarse and evil voice came out of the dragon's mouth. Bibi Dong looked at her huge figure. Although she is aesthetics of the human race, not the dragon race, this dragon is not ugly. Her brown skin is stained with mud soup, and there are patches of bumps on her body. And the restless breath was released from her pimple. Her wings are like a tattered canvas, with holes everywhere, but they barely support her flight. The dragon is ugly and bloated, and it is completely the two extremes of the shining dragon that Bibi Dong saw before. This is the boss who ruled this level, the fierce beast of the 200,000-year cultivation base, the Queen of Sadness Dragon. Bibi Dong was wary of the boss to prevent her from taking the lead. Faced with the inquiry of the Queen of Sadness, Bibi Dong just nodded and didn't reply. You have her disgusting breath. Challenge me, then you will have to pay the price. I will sink your body into this mud. The sad Queen Dragon looked at Bibi Dong, opened her fishy mouth, and said, come on, then let me see how much pain you can cause me. How much pain did it cause you? What's surprising is that this sad Queen Dragon unexpectedly speaks about martial arts. She did not take the lead and waited for Bibi Dong to take the shot. Compared to Xinjiao Guanghualong, it is better to start full firepower at the beginning without talking about martial arts. This is what you said, so let you see my full strength. Bibi Dong Killing God Realm opened, and immediately after that, she increased her support ability to increase her strength to a new height. Immediately afterwards, Bibi Dong launched her strongest attack. She opened the black and white wings behind her, and turned into two waves of black and white behind her, and the two waves merged together to become a chaotic wave, and under the push of the wings, they hit the Queen of Sadness Dragon. Annihilation Wave Cannon. The chaotic wave that annihilated everything, even the aftermath, destroyed the entire dragon nest. At this time, Bibi Dong had fully revealed the strength that a 200,000-year-old fierce beast should have. Her 200,000-year-old fierce beast is not an ordinary fierce beast, because her god-level martial soul was transformed. Surprisingly, in the face of this wave of destruction, the Queen of Sorrow did not use the ability to defend, nor did it avoid this attack. Instead, it spread its wings and spread its claws, as if welcoming it, and withstood it from the front. This annihilation wave. This was an attack that could easily kill any 100,000-year level soul beast. This fierce beast ate her attack head-on, and I'm afraid it's immortal and cruel, but she neither neighed nor wailed, but was bathed in Bibi Dong's attack, completely withstanding this attack. The energy dissipated, and in front of Bibi Dong, most of the body of the Queen of Sadness was destroyed, and the wings became more broken, her breath was even more wilting than before. Everything is developing towards a good place, but Bibi Dong feels that things are not as simple as she thought, and she even has an unclear premonition in her heart. Chapter 78. The battle afterwards made Bibi Dong even more incredible. She and the Queen of Sadness are both soul beasts of the 200,000-year-old cultivation base. The strength of both should be at the same level, and then the Queen of Sadness was seriously injured. Under normal circumstances, Bibi Dong will have the advantage. And the facts are exactly like this. Bibi Dong has always had an advantage in her fight with the ruler of the second space, the Queen of Sadness Dragon. But this is the anomaly, okay? Bibi Dong doesn't think that this level of boss will be solved so easily. If it is so easy to fix, it will not be a boss. Unlike Xinjiao Glory Dragon, when Xinjiao Glory Dragon came up, it attacked Bibi Dong with a suffocating sense of oppression, and did not give her a chance to breathe at all. If it weren't for the scratch, Bibi Dong was not her at all. Opponent. It's too easy to play against the Queen of Sadness Dragon. On her right hand, the starlight claws bloomed with brilliance, and the flesh and blood that fell from the body of the Queen of Sadness was ticking down. Bibi Dong slowed down the pace of her attack. During her attacks one after another, observing the Queen of Sadness Dragon, she found that she always showed an extremely weak look, but every attack was absorbed by her. No matter what degree of attack she made, it could severely damage this sad Queen Dragon, but it was not fatal. The own attack was absorbed by her. Is this the real purpose of this dragon, to absorb the damage caused by her attack? You are acting me. Bibi Dong stopped, she looked at the sad Queen Dragon solemnly, and said. I was discovered by you. It seems that you are different from other stupid war practitioners. They always think that they can kill me, but they don't know that pain is the source of my strength. Like a cat playing with a mouse, the Queen of Sadness long said, however, you only realize now that it seems to be too late, because of your attack, my strength is no longer what you can compete with. Of course, no matter what you have, I didn't find it, the result is the same, so let's bear the despair. Now that it was seen through, the Queen of Sadness Dragon did not go on acting. The depressed breath was released instantly, and her breath rose up to a height enough for Bibi Dong to look up. By her side, the black energy spread and turned into a realm, suppressing Bibi Dong's killing god realm. The interior of her realm is full of despair, hatred, disgust, etc., countless emotions, and these emotions are acting on the Queen of Sadness Dragon. Her body was in shattered condition, but her strength was far superior to the appearance at the beginning. Suffering realm. Withstand the attack and withstand the damage, you can ascension yourself. She has suffered so many attacks from Bibi Dong before. Now, her strength is no longer in the 200,000-year-old cultivation base. Your attack is over, I want you to bear the pain I have endured, 10 times, 100 times. Claw of corruption. She waved her claws and grabbed it towards Bibi Dong. On the claws, there was a familiar aura that Bibi Dong was familiar with. Bibi Dong flickered, his figure flashed, trying to escape from here, but Queen Long's scarlet eyes flashed, but Bibi Dong's ability was silenced. My spiritual thoughts spread throughout the entire space. Except for the Starlight Forest, I have been in my control from the moment you were weak until now. The strength you possess is basically known to me, flashes, and treats me. It's useless. After the skills were silenced, it was too late for Bibi Dong to escape. The claws landed and directly scratched Bibi Dong's body. Bibi Dong hurriedly used the Starlight Grace bestowed by the Starlight Glory Dragon to heal his pain. The pain that Xinjiao Brilliant Dragon had once endured also appeared on her body. The claw marks were accompanied by a corrosive effect. The corrosive aura spread in her body, which made her have to allocate a part of the soul power to suppress this grasp. Mark. The power of the Starlight and the power of the Queen Dragon are mutual restraint. Bibi Dong's current strength is stronger than the previous Star Shining Dragon, but it can gradually suppress this corrosive force. A trace of fear flashed across the ugly face of the Queen of Sadness, but it was quickly covered up. She said blankly, unexpectedly, you have obtained such an ability from her. However, no matter what abilities you get from her, you are not my opponent. Since you are her heir, then I will kill you to retaliate against her. She opened her mouth, a corrosive breath condensed in her mouth, and then, it sprayed towards Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong Xinglong's claws waved and turned into a wave of light barrier in front of him. The wave of light barrier blocked her breath, and then another barrier returned her attack. The Queen of Sorrow Dragon did not evade the attack, but withstood it for life. Now, Bibi Dong could feel her thorny even more. Own attacks can be absorbed and continuously ascension own strength, so no matter what kind of attack, not only can it not kill her, but can also ascension her strength? This is too scary. Pain will only increase my strength, even if it is the pain caused by God, I will double it back. The Queen of Sorrow, Long's red eyes, looked at Bibi Dong without any emotion, and started after speaking. Attack. The corruption claw struck once again, and Bibi Dong's wave of light barrier was torn apart like a piece of paper. Fortunately, Bibi Dong reacted this time, and another spirit ability of the Star Dragon Claw was activated. Turning into starlight claws and corroding claws touched together, the entire dragon nest was torn apart by these two extreme forces. However, the Queen of Sadness Dragon is better after all. With the addition of Bibi Dong's body being affected by the corrosive claws, the power of starlight claws plummeted, and the Queen of Suffering Dragon broke Bibi Dong's attack and severely damaged her once again, in her chest. There was a striking scratch left, and the pain irritated her nerves. Her body flew out and hit the wall made of bones. In an instant, the wall collapsed and the bones buried Bibi Dong inside. The stronger the attack, the stronger the enemy will become. It can't see any weakness at all. No wonder, it can block so many hosts. Feeling the rotten aura spreading from the waist, chest, and scratches, think about the ending of the Starlight Glory Dragon. Is she really going to die in this space? Everything from the past flashed before her eyes like a revolving lantern. It is said that people are dead. Wait, the characteristics of the Queen Dragon are like a monster in a special drama that Bibi Dong saw in his previous life. The memory struck like a tide, and the memory of the previous life gave Bibi Dong a hint. Leaf Rot, a monster that is strong when it comes to strength. Isn't her ability similar to Yahu's ability? Of course, she is not as perverted as Yahu. Yahu can directly gain the opponent's abilities. She just absorbs the opponent's attack to strengthen herself. However, the way to deal with Yahu cannot be strong, and it should be the same for her. Chapter 79. Bibi Dong looked down, his abdomen was already rotten into a piece, and his ribs were exposed. If he allowed it to spread, he would only die quickly. Bibi Dong used the Starlight Grace to protect important parts such as his own heart, and then flew from the bone pile. The sad Queen Dragon looked at Bibi Dong, but she had no plans to make a move. Are you still struggling fearlessly? That's fine, let me see how painful you were before you died. It's a pity, after all, I didn't end her life. She said with hatred. Queen Dragon is very confident. No matter what kind of attack, it will not affect her. She even watched quietly as Bibi Dong was slowly corroded by the corrosive power of own corrosion claw, and died tragically in the pain of corrosion. A pile of dry bones in her dragon nest. Zhenjiao glorious dragon? Why do you hate her so much? Bibi Dong asked. What do you know, this world has never been fair. She was born beautiful, she has everything, and I am just being abandoned and disgusted. The sad Queen Long said with a sneer, she still has a fake face. He played sisterhood with me, but at my saddest moment, abandoned me and left. Little sister has always been so high, she is the darling of the starry sky, and I am just an ugly dragon stained with filth and blood of the same race. I hate and I am jealous. Why, she can get all this, but I want. Is it unfair to bear everything all the time? So, I want to kill her, I want her to fall, I want her beautiful body to turn into a pile of bones in this filthy dragon burial place. She, after all, should have died in my hands. After killing you, I will go to the Starlight Forest to see what kind of ugly appearance that beautiful little sister looks like now. She said grimly. At the moment before her death, I hope I can save you and tell you that what happened back then was not that she abandoned you, but that she accepted the inheritance of the Star God and had to leave the dragon tribe. Humph, rescue, joke, you have been beaten into this half-dead look by me, what qualifications do you have to save me? The sad Queen Long said with a sneer. I can't save you, but she can save you. This is the strength she gave me. Bibi Dong took a deep breath, she also gave up the suppression of her own corrosive breath like the previous star shining dragon, and instead used her full strength to launch the Starlight Grace. The brilliance of the Starlight Grace spread, shining on the entire dragon nest. Bibi Dong, like a dazzling star, is in the center of the starlight. I don't need her hypocritical favors. She abandoned me at the beginning. Now, what qualifications does she have to talk to me about salvation? The sad Queen Long said angrily. She seemed to be jealous of the starlight, turning around to jump into the mud to escape, but the speed of the light was faster after all. The light of grace shrouded the sad Queen Dragon. The soft light dispelled the evil spirits from her, dispelled all kinds of negative emotions in realm, and healed the wounds on the sad Queen Dragon. Makes her develop in the direction of a complete dragon. On the contrary, the Queen of Sorrow Dragon, whose strength is pain and sorrow, suddenly drops under the light of grace. The starlight turns into realm, which envelopes the Queen of Sadness Dragon. No, the Sorrow Queen Dragon neighed in pain. The healing of the pain on her body was a kind of torture for her. Among the stars, Countless points of light gathered together and turned into the figure of the shining dragon, appearing in front of the sad queen dragon. She spread her wings, embraced this ugly big sis, and said, "Big sis, you should be sober, what happened back then was a misunderstanding." With that, the crystal on the head of the Xinjiao glory dragon and the dragon head of the Queen of Sadness touched together. The anger and struggle of the Queen of Sadness finally stopped. The memories of the two sides were exchanging, and a picture scroll was revealed in front of Bibi Dong. In the distant past, the Earth Dragon clan ruled this fertile soil. Among them, Tia and Tio were twins who were born in the home of a patriarch. This pair of sisters, life has Wu Yu carefree, but as time goes by, little sister looks more and more beautiful. On the contrary, big sis has become more and more ugly, even Xian Tian lacks. Therefore, little sister is sought after by Wanlong in the tribe, but big sis is disgusted and rejected by the dragon. But this did not affect the relationship between the sisters. Although big sis envied the beauty of little sister, it did not feel jealous. Until one day, little sister accepted the inheritance of the star god and gave birth to the wings of the starry sky. After the starry sky, the memories of the two sides began to diverge. In big sis Tio's memory, little sister left her and abandoned her. Among the dragons, she has been suppressing herself and being bullied by other dragons. In the end, she broke out. She awakened her talent and suffering realm. She is not afraid of any attack or the influence of any negative emotions. The stronger the opponent, the fiercer the attack will only make her stronger and stronger. In order to retaliate against the world, she slaughtered all the dragons who had discriminated against her back then, including her parents who had been totally unwelcome to her, and turned the whole land of dragons into a place for bones. She released her restlessness and made the soul beasts. The riot caused the whole world to be plunged into slaughter, until the moment little sister returned from the starry sky. The two sisters fell out, one awakened the invincible talent, and the other gained part of the inheritance of the star god. Tio wanted to kill Tia, who was seriously injured and hid in the starlight forest. In little sister's memory, when she accepted the star god's inheritance, she made a wish to the star god, hoping that the star god could heal the deficiency of own big sis Xian Tian. In accepting the test of the star god's inheritance, she gave up the star god inheritance and returned on the continent. With the grace of the star god, he came to search for own big sis, only to find that the tribe was destroyed and Wanlong was slaughtered by her. Do not tears of regret flowed from the corner of the eyes of the Queen of Sorrow. Under the grace of the stars, she not only recovered herself, but also solved Xia nation's lack of problems, becoming more and more beautiful, but this was not what she wanted. She slaughtered the own race, and even killed own little sister, the sad queen dragon who knew everything was extremely painful. In the past, grief only made her stronger, but now, she is extremely painful because of grief, and the pain caused by the soul is many times stronger than the pain caused by the body. Chapter 80. Little sister, do you hate me? Tio asked. Hate, Tia said. Big sis, Tio slaughtered the own race and his parents together, and it was impossible to kill Tia without hating her. That's right. Tio said disappointedly. But I can understand you, big sis, everything is over. Don't be in the ocean of hatred. You should be sober. In front of Tia, the stars converged into an avenue leading to the starry sky. She stretched out her paw to Tia and said, with Tia, go to the star realm. Tio nodded, she stuck out On's claws, and unexpectedly discovered On's body, under the starlight, was no longer so ugly and embarrassing. She caught Tia's dragon claws, and the two dragons flew towards the star realm towards this avenue of stars. On the other side, Bibi Dong finally couldn't hold it anymore. The entire starlight realm was shattered, and the flowers were drunk with dots of light, spilling over the land. The corpse of a giant dragon fell heavily, and she looked at this corpse wearily. It was the corpse of the sad Queen Longdio. Under the treatment of starlight, she was not as ugly as before, on the contrary, very beautiful. Bibi Dong doesn't have the aesthetics of dragons, but she also feels that her body shape is perfect. Unfortunately, the master's soul has followed her little sister to the stars. Now, because of the failure of the Queen of Sadness dragon, the corrosive power that corroded Bibi Dong's body has also disappeared, but she has only one last breath left, and even a soul beast can kill her. In this way, am I considered a clearance? Bibi Dong said weakly. If this is not a clearance, then she is not far from death. Ding, congratulations to the host for clearing the second floor of the Demon God Proving Ground. The sound of the system appeared in Bibi Dong's ears like a natural sound. In this world, above the sky, a series of stars were sown, and the barren dragon burial place gradually returned to life, and Bibi Dong, who was bathed in the stars, quickly reorganized and recovered. In the core area of the dragon burial land, a door opened and Bibi Dong stood up again. She doesn't know how long the outside world has passed, but she may have spent several years in this secret realm world. Seeing the door opening, Bibi Dong breathed a sigh of relief and stepped out of the door. Recalling the previous experience carefully, the two abilities Xinjiao Guanghuolong gave, if she chooses the Xinjiao who is directly ascension 10 times more powerful, then I am afraid that the next thing facing her will be a dead end. Facing the stronger the attack, the stronger the boss will be her unsolvable existence. On the contrary, starlight graces the core of this level of customs clearance. Tia once made a wish to the star god, hoping to bring her big sis beauty, and the ability she obtained was this starlight grace. What Tia hopes is that someone can save and free Tio from the fall, not that someone will bring her power to punish Tio. This is a trap. Those who choose Xinjiao are doomed to fail, and once they fail, for Tia, it's nothing more than samsara's comeback and choose another tester to help her achieve this goal. In this trial, you really can't take one step wrong, and if you take a wrong step, you won't be able to recover. Bibi Dong thought with emotion. Sunset Forest, the familiar Sunset Forest, Bibi Dong, who has been wandering in the barren world for a few years, returned to the Douluo Continent. The first thing he thought of was not to turn on the own system for rewards, but to breathe the fresh air here. Lying on the medicine garden like resting, feeling the natural scenery here. No way, the place of the dragon burial is too depressing. The sky is groggy, the land is very barren, and the air is rotten. It's easy to make people crazy after staying for a long time. After sleeping beautifully in the sunset forest, Bibi Dong woke up for a long time and began to count his gains in this secret realm. The first is points. The number of secret realm soul beasts in the second layer is not necessarily more than the number of soul beasts in the first layer. 20,000 points, of which Tia with 100,000 plus and Tio with 200,000 plus provided a total of 3,000 points. Then there are two superimposable spirit rings of 10,000 years. Bibi Dong opened her own spirit ring with 6 blacks and 3 reds. Originally, she planned to add the spirit ring to the second ring, and then change the second spirit ability after awakening to see if she can obtain 2 skills, but she saw the second one. She chose to give up when she changed the number of years for more than 50,000 years. A spirit ring of more than 50,000 years is superimposed on 2 spirit rings, and it can't make a breakthrough of 100,000 years. First add the 10,000 year black ring to the 6th ring. The 6th ring has reached more than 90,000 years after the previous stacking. Now, after adding the spirit ring stack this time, the black spirit ring instantly transforms. It is a red spirit ring. The 5 black and 4 red spirit ring configuration is unique in the current era. The appearance of the red ring made her spirit power level ascension another step. Of course, this was not enough for her to hit the limit Douluo's level. The remaining black ring is superimposed on the 5th spirit ring by Bibi Dong with obsessive-compulsive disorder. The 5th ring is 70,000 years old. I believe that when you clear the next level, you will be able to obtain enough spirit rings to make it reach red. The stratification of the ring. Then there is the choice of soul skills. Bibi Dong opened the page and started to select the skill of own second spirit ability. In the whole trial, what attracted Bibi Dong's abilities the most was not Boss Tio's ability, but Tia's dual abilities, Starlight Grace and Xinjiao. These 2 bug-level abilities, unfortunately, they were not inherited. As for Tio, Bibi Dong didn't think he could fully inherit Tio's special ability that he could not kill, the more he fought. However, the impression that the sisters brought to Bibi Dong was too deep, especially the picture of Tia pulling Tio towards the astral world. Originally Bibi Dong only regarded the monsters in the trial space as the existence of NPCs, but now, she looked at them, but there were flesh and blood creatures. She didn't want to forget them. Tia's ability was attached to Bibi Dong's body in the form of an external spirit bone star dragon claw, and Bibi Dong decided to leave it to Tio in the position of the spirit ring. She uses the Queen of Sadness Dragon as her second spirit ability. Ding, the selection is complete, the Sad Queen Dragon, the second spirit ability is being generated. The skills are generated. The second soul ability of the final witch, the Sorrowful Witch, realm, effect, turn on the realm state of suffering, accept any attack from the front, and remain undead and uninjured, but need to endure several times the pain caused by the attack. At the same time, the stronger the attack, the whole body will be integrated for a period of time. The higher the attribute ascension, the use of this skill requires half of the total amount of one's own soul power. The more total amount of one's own soul power is consumed, the longer the effect will last, and the longer the subsequent sustained increase time. Chapter 81. This skill is good, life-saving skills, not only life-saving, but also buff yourself, even stronger than Death Spider King's last soul ability. However, this activation requires the use of half of the soul power setting, which is doomed to a battle, and she cannot use it a second time, unless she can recover a large amount of soul power in a short time until it exceeds half. As for the side effects, the pain caused by several times of attacks, Bibi Dong doesn't know how effective this is. You can try to find out. Death, the pain of injury. In the secret realm space, she has not suffered less, and the ability to withstand pain will be several times stronger than that of ordinary spirit masters. I just don't know how it feels to bear the clear sky hammer head-on and the chaotic cloak several times. Although the second skill didn't give Bibi Dong a positively lethal skill, it was a good gaining ability, and it was still very good when paired with Starlight Claws. Next, Bibi Dong had two more cards in his hand. One is a titled Douluo summoning card, and the other is a genius summoning card. The genius summoning card was directly put aside by Bibi Dong. For Bibi Dong, geniuses need to be cultivated, but titled Douluo's combat power is readily available, and there are more things you can do than a genius who has not grown up. Many. In the system wall, this type of summoning card is divided into 4 types: title Douluo summoning card, normal title summoning card, super title summoning card, and extreme title summoning card. The ordinary title summoning card can summon level 91 to 94 title Douluo, while the super title summoning card can summon 95 to 98 title Douluo, and the limit summoning card can summon level 99 ultimate Douluo. As for the title summoning card, the title Douluo of level 91 to 99 is in its summoning range, that is to say, if your luck is good enough, it is possible to summon an extreme Douluo. Bibi Dong prides himself on always having good luck. After all, how can I say, our sister Dong was also a person who bought lottery tickets in her previous life. Come on, let me see which title Douluo it is. Bibi Dong said. Best, it's not bad to come to a limit, and the strengths are good. The traverser next door summoned a poisonous undead at the beginning, and later summoned the limit Douluo. I should be able to draw a limit too. Of course, the brilliance of the card flashed, and Bibi Dong gradually saw the image and data of the characters on the card. Title Douluo, Simon Madness title, Mad Rhinoceros level 91 Martial Soul, Iron Armored Rhinoceros Soul Ring configuration, yellow, yellow, purple, 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 black, 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 and black. Bibi Dong. Level 91 is not enough to ridicule, have to use the 5th ring purple to tell me the level of garbage of this title Douluo. The 5th ring is purple, there is not even the best match of a soul master, and it is really ironic enough. Well, think about the result of my last lottery, this card is still barely usable, Bibi Dong comforted himself. How to say, anyhow, it is also a titled Douluo. This era was the first era of Douluo Continent. Only 30 or 40 titles appeared in the entire titled Douluo book. If you take it out, you can still do a lot of things. However, system, is there a person like Mad Rhino Douluo in Douluo Continent? Why don't I remember? Bibi Dong asked. If you don't remember, it doesn't mean you don't have it, host. In your memory, the Douluo tetralogy are all novels, and you are in a real world. The distance between Douyi and Douyi is 10,000 years, and the distance between Douyi and Dousan is 10,000 years. It is also 10,000 years, 10,000 and 10,000 years. Although the characters in it have not appeared in the book, there will still be titled Douluo in this large time span, and the person you summoned is right. It was a titled Douluo in the 10,000 years before the era of Huo Yuhao after Tang San became a god. The system said. Bibi Dong nodded. It seems that it will be difficult to summon familiar faces in the future. After all, the span of 10,000 years is too big. How many eras have passed by in a hurry, the waves are scouring the sand, there are about 50 titled Douluos in one era. In 10,000 years, hundreds of titles can be produced. Then, instead of summoning the furious rhinoceros Douluo directly, she took it back, and then looked at the rewards below. Call of Genius card can summon a genius of Xiantian 7-10th level of soul power, martial soul is higher than martial soul, age is set to be under 20 years old, soul power level soul ring configuration will be according to the age set by him, Xiantian soul power is the best assignment is coming soon. This genius was randomly generated and existed in any period of time in the history of Douluo Continent. Martial soul can use either a martial soul randomly generated from the mainland, or a martial soul randomly derived from the memory of the host. Is the Xiantian 7th level genius? It seems to be the same. Zhu Zuqing among the 7 Shrek monsters should also be the soul power of the Xiantian 7th level, but she is also called one of the 7 Shrek monsters, isn't she? By the way, what does martial soul derived from my memory mean? Bibi Dong asked. Meaning, this genius can be a character in the host's memory, as well as his special ability. For example, the host, you accidentally summoned Kira Yamato, his martial soul is Freedom Gundam, this is also possible, said the system. According to my memory, a kind of martial soul that was randomly derived. Bibi Dong's eyes lit up, and said, is it possible to derive martial soul such as Pangu and Kaishan Axe, Tai and Donghuang Bell for me? Woolen cloth. Host, yes. The system said, but host, do you want the beggar version of beggars? If it's a sky-opening axe derived from the advanced martial soul template, maybe even martial soul like Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus can't beat it. Bibi Dong. This is too insulting to the mythical figure in Bibi Dong's memory. Please choose whether the martial soul template is the Douluo template or the host memory template, the system asked. Memory template. Bibi Dong said. Compared to martial soul in this continent, she is looking forward to martial soul in other worlds. Choose the type of genius, which are strong attack, control, sensitive attack, support and defense. Control it, Bibi Dong said. Please choose the age of genius. The system said. Exactly 12 years old. Bibi Dong said. Bibi Dong Zhang lacks the younger generation of the same age as the Shrek 7 devils to trample the pride of the protagonist group, and now I really want to doze off and give pillows. Even if it is Xiantian 7th level spirit power, I will train you into a monster among monsters to crush Shrek. Please the host decide whether to cast points to the genius based on the points in his hand, the system asked. Put point, what point? Bibi Dong asked. Host, you have cleared a total of 2 levels of Demon God Proving Grounds. You can invest in this genius, lock this genius, invest 500 points, and the system defaults that she has cleared the first level of Undead Trial. Ascending for 500 years, put in 1000 points, the system defaults that she has cleared the second level of the Trial of Immortality, and the Spirit Ring is ascending for 1000 years. But the Death Trial cannot be cast, the system said. Chapter 82. Of course, the advantage of casting points is that you are more likely to draw the enchanting among the geniuses. After all, the person who can complete the 2 trials independently is not a simple person, and, at a young age, he can pass 2 levels. Trial means that her spirit ring matching surpasses ordinary people. Can I cast some death trials? Bibi Dong asked. Bibi Dong glanced at all the rewards of the second level death trial, and the spirit ring life was ascending 3000 years. In this way, the total life of the spirit ring could reach the level of the black ring of the 4th ring. After all, the effect of the trial is continuous, that is, after you pass the trial in the 3rd ring, after you obtain the spirit ring, you will also increase the number of years of the spirit ring by default. Death trial, you need to go through it yourself, you can't cast points. The system said. Let's do it, cast points, she will pass the 1st and 2nd floors by default, and cast 1500 points. Bibi Dong said. The year 1500 is the year 1500. The higher level spirit ring will feed back the better physique of this genius. Characters are being randomly generated. Generation complete. There is an extra card in Bibi Dong's hand. A beautiful girl with long rose-colored hair and brown pupils. She is wearing a rose-colored dress. She is about 163 in height. The key is the damn stalwart on her chest. You don't look like a 12-year-old girl. What a little girl should look like. Okay, but in Douluo Continent, isn't there such a person too, Zhu Zuqing, do you think she is like a 12-year-old girl? On this continent, after martial soul awakened, his physical development became much faster, and Tang San was still 12 years old and 1.7 meters old. However, after being black twice in a row, Bibi Dong finally won a good reward in the Call of Genius. 16 Night Autumn Xiantian Spirit Power, 10 Martial Soul, Top Martial Soul Black Rose Dragon Level, Level 33 Development Direction, Control and Strong Attack Soul Ring Configuration, Purple, 1923, Purple, 2264, Purple, 3460, Black Rose Dragon Introduction, the martial soul of the dragon family. The usual martial soul state is rose flower. It requires a shameful summoning line to summon the body of the black dragon. The skill has two effects of the rose state and the dragon state, but it is not a twin martial soul. He even summoned a certain heroine of the third part of King Yogi's world, but Bibi Dong really wanted to see the twining and binding of the blue-silver grass and the twining and binding of the rose flower appearing in the ring match at the same time. After Bibi Dong collected the two cards into the system space, he continued to check the following two other rewards. Similarly, there is also a door for the rewards for clearing the second level. You can choose where to place the door. After entering, you can choose Death and Immortality trials. The first time you pass the Immortal trial, you can get 1000 plus Spirit Ring years, and you can pass the Death trial Spirit Ring for the first time. The age limit is 3000 plus. This is the Sunset Forest. Bibi Dong did not leave the door nearby. She plans to set up this door after returning to the Martial Soul Hall. At that time, let Qian Renxue take a leave of absence and come back and try these refined to pass the level. In addition to the opening of the third floor of the Demon God Proving Ground, another first stage secret realm was opened, and the secret realm is called Silent Underground Street. The Silent Underground Street is completely different from the Demon God Proving Ground and belongs to another instance mode. After Bibi Dong's martial soul was changed, it was not only the skills on the spirit ring that were washed away, but also the 6 soul bones of his own, plus the 6 winged purple wings of the attached spirit bones, were washed away, and the Demon God Proving Ground was opened. It was Bibi Dong's spirit ability, so Silent Underground Street opened Bibi Dong's spirit bone ability. She clicked on the interface of the Silent Underground Street and took a look at the content of the first floor of the Silent Underground Street introduction. A group of sinful people are driven to the underworld, a place to punish them. It is called Silent Underground Street. Silence, as the name implies, is that your vision, hearing, touch, smell, and taste are completely closed off, and your world is completely plunged into in the silence. The only thing that can perceive the surroundings is to rely on your mental energy to explore and to rely on your intuition to kill. In this underground mall, the most basic product is points. In the underground mall, you can buy things cheaper than the system mall, but the premise is that you must use the points obtained in the underground mall to buy. The way to get points is to find other people in a silent world, kill them, and get points. In the dark world, you don't know which direction your enemy is in. Maybe he finds you first and kills you, but maybe, if you find him, he will be killed by you before he can react. When you become the last person in the underground street, congratulations, you have cleared the customs. Quest rewards: a soul ring with a life of 20,000 plus, a genius summoning card, a titled Douluo summoning card, a random soul bone converted into a suit of eternity and end, soul bone skills are obtained, and the host mental energy obtains ascension. The permanent entrance to the trial on the first floor of the Silent Underground Street, open the secret realm space, the Hall of Souls. Failure penalty: none. Failure means death. Bibi Dong closed this page. This trial is really cruel. When the 5 senses are completely closed, it is hard to imagine that this trial may be more cruel than the trial brought by the Demon God trial site. But her current state is not the state of entering the Silent Underground Street at all. After all, she has just eased from the second floor of the Demon God Proving Ground. After finishing all the rewards on the hour, Bibi Dong did not directly summon the 2 summoning cards, but left the Sunset Forest to go to the Heaven Do Imperial Palace to find Qian Renxue. With her current ability, she is no longer afraid to deal with the Dark Golden Claw Bear. It is time to hunt the 6-winged Sun Unicorn. Bibi Dong taught the Dugagoose poison function for 3 days. In the trial field, more than 10 days passed, and it took several days to go to Heaven Do City. It took more than 20 days to reach the prince's mansion in Heaven Do City. Although Bibi Dong had been delayed for more than 20 days, Qian Renxue inevitably complained a few times. In order to hunt down this soul beast, she asked the great Emperor Sui to leave for a few days. The reason? I just want to take advantage of this time to build a good relationship with Dugubo, and hold the titled Douluo level combat power for the empire. When the Emperor Shui heard that, Long Yan joyously approved a holiday for more than a month, and said to Shui King He earnestly, "King He, you see that you are not young anymore. Father, when I was your age, there were already groups of wives and concubines. See if you should also be a family and let your father hug your grandson earlier. It's not bad to see Dugubo's granddaughter Dugagoose." Qian Renxue smiled bitterly in her heart. She played Shueqinghe and could get into the woods. The only question is that she is a woman. Can a woman and a woman get married? Don't you wear it right away? But this cheap old man, as she gets older, always urges her to find someone, get married, and hold a baby, and is annoying. She finds someone a woman, so she can't help it. However, Douluo seems to be good. After all, other people don't know the true identity of Shueqinghe, but Douluo knows that Shueqinghe began to figure out whether to have a fake marriage with Douluo. Chapter 83. A team of hunting 100,000-year soul beasts has been formed. Leading the team is Bibi Dong, who has a level of 98 super Douluo strength, and the two titled Douluo, a porcupine, and Snake Lance, who have a level of strength of 92, and Qian Renxue. With such a configuration, as long as the fierce beasts in the Douluo Great Forest can't come out and basically walk horizontally, it will come out. As long as it is not Ditian's abnormality, Bibi Dong can still handle it. Under the Pope's crown, is there really a six-winged sunlight unicorn in this forest? Snake Lance Douluo asked incomprehensibly. Just follow me. Bibi Dong said simply. The trace of the 100,000-year soul beast is not easy to find, but Bibi Dong's points are not for nothing. The dynamics of the soul beast's trace can basically determine its location. The six-winged solar unicorn lives on a cliff in the Douluo Great Forest. This cliff is thousands of meters high, and you can enjoy sunbathing in close proximity. Sunlight unicorn, just like its name, its source of power comes from the sun. Its wings can absorb solar energy and convert it into soul power. This allows it to have a far continuous supply of soul power during the day, and its combat power is also Ascension took a big chunk. At night, its strength returned to its normal state. It has a very special ability, that is, the light flashes, the body turns into a streamer, and it can move to every corner under the sun at will, so hunting is quite difficult. You can only hunt it at night or under special circumstances. If it is not your opponent, you can't stop it in the daytime. When Bibi Dong led the team, he chose to enter the forest at dusk, and when he went to the cliff of sunlight, it was already night time. Near the territory of the unicorn of Nico, Bibi Dong condensed the breath of the four people and quietly touched the cliff. Bibi Dong's breath converged very delicately until he came to the unicorn. It only discovered the traces of Bibi Dong and the others. Without saying a word, the daylight unicorn immediately launched an attack, the horns shining brightly, and a beam of light struck several people. She long walked to the front, dancing the snake spear to sweep away the sunlight. Do it! Bibi Dong said. The snake spear and the thorny dolphins summoned their respective spirit rings, using the martial soul clone, and slowed towards the daylight unicorn. Upon seeing this, the unicorn neighed, opened its wings, and the dazzling light shone on the entire valley. The dark night could not ascension its strength, but how to say it, it was also a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Above its horn, a circle of light appeared on its horn. Then, a beam of light shot out from the circle and hit the snake Lance Douluo. The snake Lance Douluo's figure dodged, avoiding the sunlight. The beam came close to the daylight unicorn, and swept the daylight unicorn with a spear. It used the single horn on its head as a weapon to block the attack of the snake Lance Douluo, spreading its 6 wings, and above the 6 wings, a circle of light emerged, and then, a beam of beams swept towards the snake Lance Douluo. This is the stunt of the daylight unicorn becoming famous, the daylight storm. A series of apertures are created around the body to sweep the solar energy across a large area indiscriminately, and it can also focus on a target. And snake Lance Douluo was exactly the target it focused on. Upon seeing the snake spear, he quickly retracted the snake spear to block the impact of sunlight. On the other side, the porcupine Douluo was not idle either. He took advantage of the unicorn's target on the snake spear, and activated the spirit ability, Poison Cloud. It turns itself into a source of toxins, allowing the toxins to form a poisonous cloud, and using the toxins to guide the poisonous cloud to cover the daylight unicorn. The 6-winged sunlight unicorn realized the crisis behind him, and abandoned further attacks on Shilong around his body. Barriers of light formed, which turned into barriers, blocking the erosion of poisonous clouds, in the hot beam of light. Under the shining, the blood-stabbing poisonous cloud was evaporated, and a stench filled the air. This is the defensive skill of the soul beast, the Sun Guard. On the other side, Shilong's attack came. He activated his soul skills, and the thunder burst directly penetrated the Guardian of the Sun, and the 8 snake spear took the Sun Unicorn's abdomen directly, and the unicorn incited its wings to fly into the air, avoiding the sharp blow of the snake spear. Soul beasts and humans, after all, soul beasts have the upper hand in physique. The two titled Douluos of the Argyle and Snake Spear are no more than the 93-level titled Douluo. Facing the siege of the two, the Sunlight Unicorn did not fall into a disadvantage. 1 to 2 is still able to withstand it. However, it is not so easy to defeat the joint attack of the two stabfish and snake spears. It looked towards the horizon, waiting for the moment the sun rose. But it was late at night, and the daylight unicorn obviously couldn't wait for the moment when the sun rose. Suddenly, it looked at Bibi Dong and Qian Renxue. The goal of mankind is to hunt its spirit ring. This 100,000-year spirit beast knows it. The two in front of him are titled Douluo-level powerhouses. The other two looking at it from the sidelines should be their own spirit ring. People with spirit bones, their strength should not be very strong. You must save the enemy if he attacked them himself. The two titled Douluo would surely be rescued, and he could take advantage of the situation and flee away. After Sunlight Unicorn realized this, regardless of the siege of the porcupine and snake spears, it directly aimed at Bibi Dong and Qian Renxue. A circle of apertures appeared around its body, and the apertures were superimposed on top of each other. A small light ray passed through the heavy aperture of first stage, becoming thicker and hotter. The dazzling white light illuminates the large star-dug forest, making it look like daytime. The beam came towards Bibi Dong and Qian Renxue. This was a full blow from the Sunshine Unicorn, and even a 95-level title Douluo would be hit hard by this move. Stabbing blood, Shilong's mouth slightly cocked. If the young master is watching someone else, they have to save, but beside her, there is a 98-level title Douluo. Although the Sunlight Unicorn's attack is huge, it is a threat to the 98-level Super Douluo. But the snake spear expected by the Daylight Unicorn, the porcupine went to rescue Bibi Dong. The scene of Qian Renxue did not appear, the two of them attacked one after another, and the air exploded in the air, and the unicorn was killed by the porcupine and the snake spear. Wounded, shot down to the ground, and smoke billowed on the cliff. The snake spear and the stabbing blood took advantage of the pressure of the spirit power and suppressed the Daylight Unicorn to the ground. On the other side, in front of Bibi Dong and Qian Renxue, a blazing white light came. The two were not in a panic. Around Bibi Dong, the spirit rings fell one by one, and 9 spirit rings appeared in black, red, and red. With her right hand, the claws of the external soul bone star dragon extended, and the starlight turned into a barrier and stood in front of the beam. The barrier of the beam swallowed in, and the full blow of the Daylight Unicorn was eliminated by Bibi Dong. Chapter 84. The terrifying configuration of 5 blacks and 4 reds may be difficult to find in the contemporary era. Even in history, it is difficult to find a titled Douluo with such a configuration. Not to mention that it was a 6-winged Sunlight Unicorn. Even the piercing snake spear that suppressed the Sunlight Unicorn stared at the spirit ring beside Bibi Dong in a daze. If it weren't for the spirit power fluctuations passed from the spirit ring, they almost thought that Bibi Dong's spirit ring was fake. However, they were shocked, and they were soon relieved. Pope Bibi Dong is a member of the Twin Martial Soul. The snake spear and the porcupine as the elder of the Martial Soul Temple naturally know this. The Twin Martial Soul, once cultivated, it is difficult to find a rival in the world. For a single martial soul, even if you are talented, your first soul ring cannot be a 10,000-year level soul ring, but twin martial souls can do this. The contemporary pope is truly unique in the world. Qian Renxue reacted faster than others. She knew more than the two elders. She knew that Bibi Dong was undergoing divine trials, so it was not surprising that she had such a long-term spirit ring configuration. And the 6-winged Sunlight Unicorn that was hit hard by the two titled Douluo, looked at Bibi Dong's spirit ring, and his eyes shone with a ray of hatred. 4 red spirit rings meant that 400,000-year spirit beasts died in her hands. Soul beasts have irreconcilable contradictions with human races. They hate humans, and even more hate these humans who hunt powerful soul beasts. However, this world is like this, the weak are prey to the strong. Human beings are not the same human status in other worlds, human beings are on the strong side. Bibi Dong walked step by step to the front of the 6-winged Sunlight Unicorn. With each step, the soul power pressure felt by the 6-winged Sunlight Unicorn increased the first stage, until she came to the front of the unicorn and stabbed her blood. Shilong no longer needs to use spirit power to suppress, this Daylight Unicorn has been crushed to the ground by Bibi Dong. Its heart was ashamed. After its soul power was limited, it couldn't even blew itself up. It looked at Bibi Dong resentfully and didn't speak. You are a 100,000-year soul beast, 100,000-year soul beast has a mind, you should be able to communicate with us. Bibi Dong said condescendingly at the unicorn. Captured by you, all you want is my soul ring soul bone, I have nothing to say, but humans, don't get too proud of it. Sooner or later, you will anger the powerful existence in the Douluo Great Forest. The six-winged sunlight unicorn said bitterly. I don't know if you are talking about Ditian, or Xiangjun, or Bridget, Zig, or... Sorry, I'm really not afraid of the existence of these Douluo Great Forests you said. Bibi Dong said. The unicorn's eyes became extremely shocked. It looked at Bibi Dong and didn't know what to say for a long time. You're right, I'm here to ask for your spirit ring and spirit bone. Bibi Dong said. You three are titled Douluo in the human world, your spirit ring is full, as for that person. Six-winged sunlight unicorn said, she is not enough to bear the strength of my spirit ring, at most only one soul bone can be obtained from me. No, I want you to sacrifice. Bibi Dong called Qian Renxue over and said, become her soul ring and soul bone. Dreaming, even if I die, I will not sacrifice to you. Six-winged sunlight unicorn said angrily. Your end is coming, right, even if we don't come to you, you will die under heavenly tribulation soon, right? Bibi Dong said. So what, said the six-winged sunlight unicorn. Of course, I asked you to make sacrifices, and it's not bad for you. Bibi Dong said, do you want to become a god? Become a god? The six-winged sunlight unicorn sneered, and said, the existence of the Douluo Great Forest, their lives are longer than mine, their cultivation base is far stronger than me, and they have not found the way to becoming a god you can. The road to becoming a god. Bibi Dong smiled and said to Qian Renxue, Shuer, let him see what kind of god you inherited. Qian Renxue nodded, and came to the front of the six-winged sunlight unicorn, brushing the golden hair on the beginning, and the angelic imprint appeared, and the breath of God was permeated. The six-winged sunlight unicorn looked at Qian Renxue in shock. It could feel that it was a breath of God, but it was shallow and did not know what god it was, but it was definitely suitable for it. No wonder these people will find it. She's Qian Renxue, my daughter, the examiner of the god of angels. Bibi Dong said, the deal I said is like this. You make sacrifices to him and become her spirit ring. After she becomes a god, she will resurrect you. At that time, you will be resurrected in the god realm, and you will be a god beast. The six-winged sunlight unicorn was lost in thought. To become a god, the stronger the soul beast, the more eager for this. The sunlight unicorn is the same, but it knows better than anyone that the soul beast family has no hope of becoming a god, but Bibi Dong gave it a possibility to become a god by investing in a human race. Who came to become gods, but how can I trust you? I can use my martial soul to swear. If I complete the divine test and become the god of angels, I will definitely resurrect you. Qian Renxue said, otherwise, martial soul will be broken and the godhood will be abolished. The six-winged daylight unicorn is silent. It hates mankind for this, but it doesn't want to let go of this opportunity, the chance to become a god. The soul beast Bibi Dong chose by chance happened to be a soul beast facing heavenly tribulation. Even if Bibi Dong and the others did not come to him, it would soon die under heavenly tribulation. Can live, who wants to die? Okay, I agree to sacrifice, but you also have to fulfill your promise. Six-winged sunshine unicorn said with determination. Of course. Qian Renxue said. Before the sacrifice, if you can form an external spirit bone, you will form an external spirit bone. If you can't, then don't form a spirit bone. Bibi Dong said. Why? The unicorn asked suspiciously, turning his head. The deity inherited by the young master of my family is the body of an angel. She comes with 6 soul bone angel costumes, so naturally she doesn't need 6 soul bone suits. Stabbing Blood said. Okay, remember your promise, I trust you unreservedly, and you don't betray my trust. The unicorn stood up and launched a sacrifice in the face of Qian Renxue. The dazzling red light was suddenly released from the unicorn's head and turned into a red halo that instantly spread. Where the red light passed, everything was rendered bloody. Everything is still at this moment. Its body turned completely red, and the center of the red light was burning with flames, burning its 100,000-year-old cultivation base and flesh and blood, and finally turned into a blood-red halo. All the red color expanded into a huge ring and slowly contracted, surrounding Qian Renxue. Qian Renxue was in the center of the sacrifice ground. Her spirit ring emerged, with a standard balance of yellow, yellow, purple, purple, and black spirit rings. And the red spirit ring was stacked on top of her black ring. Yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, red. Chapter 85. After Qian Renxue absorbed the spirit ring, all this did not end. Behind her, her clothes were torn, as if something was about to come out of her back. Under Bibi Dong's fierce gaze, the two elders, the porcupine and the snake spear, turned around consciously, not looking at the young master's clothes after they were broken. The 6 wings of the unicorn spread out from behind her and appeared behind her. Qian Renxue recovered from the state of absorbing the spirit ring, realizing that her current clothes had been torn due to the spirit bone attached to it, and she couldn't help blushing and looked around. The 3 elders, including Bibi Dong, all turned around consciously, breathed a sigh of relief, and took out a piece of clothing from the soul guidance device and put on them. With the absorption of the spirit ring and the attached spirit bone, plus the accumulation of previous cultivation and medicinal power, Qian Renxue's spirit power level was directly ascension to the level of 64th level. I believe that with Zionation's 20th level spirit power and the effect of the immortal grass improving physique, in 2 or 3 years, he can become a soul sage and obtain the true body of an angel. After a while, Stabbing Blood, Snake Spear, Bibi Dong turned around. Stabbing Blood and Snake Lance said enviously, "Congratulations to young master for obtaining a 100,000-year-old spirit ring and an attached spirit bone. 100,000-year spirit ring, plus a 100,000-year external spirit bone, how many titled Douluo wanted yet? Even the 9th ring of the 2 titled Douluos of the Blood Snake Lance is just a 10,000-year-old spirit ring. Young master Qian Renxue, the 6th spirit ring is 100,000 years old, and it is really promising. If it hadn't been for the efforts of the 2 elders to suppress the 6-winged sunlight unicorn, I am afraid it would not choose to sacrifice." Qian Renxue said. Blood and Snake Lance both smiled awkwardly, and said, "Even without us, the Pope can help you get rid of this unicorn." "Ahem." Bibi Dong said with a soft cough, "Okay, Shuer, show your soul skills." Qian Renxue nodded, and said, "My 6th spirit ability is basically in the daytime, and its power can only be revealed. The 100,000-year spirit ring gives me 2 spirit abilities, one is the Solar Storm, and the other is the Sacred Light Flash. The skill of Solar Storm is the same Solar Storm used by unicorns before." Qian Renxue said, revealing the 6th spirit ring. Around her, a circle of apertures emerged, and a hot beam of light shone out from the aperture, bombarding an area in a range. Under the scope of the bombing, even the rock and soil were melted into a pool of liquid, and under Qian Renxue's wave, all the halos converged, and the beams converged, turning into a hot beam. Qian Renxue manipulated these auras and aimed at a mountain bag in the distance, cutting across the middle like a cake. Both Bibi Dong and Shilong felt that under Qian Renxue's spirit ability, the mountain bag was directly cut across and became the upper and lower parts. This kind of spirit ability was already enough to threaten the existence of title Douluo. Of course, it was some relatively low-level title Douluo. After a while, Qian Renxue's spirit power finally told Xin, the aperture dissipated, and the beam was exhausted. "This attack consumes my soul power extremely, but the situation is different during the day. Under the sun, it can reduce the burden of my soul power." Qian Renxue said, "The other skill is Sacred Light Flash, with light source. As a basis, it flickers and jumps back and forth, similar to teleporting skills, but there is no cooling time. As long as the soul power is enough, and under the sun or angel realm, you can use this soul ability." Qian Renxue said. "So what about the abilities that spirit bones give you?" Bibi Dong asked. "The 6-winged solar unicorn attached to the soul bone gave me 2 abilities, one for sunlight transformation and the other for light energy storage." Qian Renxue said, "They are all auxiliary skills. Daylight transformation can absorb the energy of the sun through the 6 wings during the day and transform it into soul power, quickly recovering my soul power consumption, while the light energy storage is the situation where my total soul power reaches the limit. Down, through the 6 wings, absorbing light energy for storage, when needed, release it, cooperate with my 2 spirit abilities, or transform it into spirit power through spirit bone skills." Qian Renxue said. "However, these spirit abilities are destined to exert greater effects during the day." Qian Renxue said. "It has to be said that this 100,000-year spirit ability is really 100,000 spirit ability, spirit ring ability, solar storm, can strike a wide range, can also focus on attacks, all the energy is gathered together, and even can burn tidal Douluo. Needless to say, the other 3 auxiliary skills, the soul bone skills increase Qian Renxue's combat power endurance ability, and the sacred light flash increases her mobility. Not to mention the 2 titled Douluo of the snake lance Pierrot, even Bibi Dong had to envy Qian Renxue. The 6th spirit ability can be so heaven-defying. It's already pretty good, but don't be proud. By the way, Shrek, you should know something next. Bibi Dong stretched out his hand and gave Qian Renxue a touch and smiled. Don't worry, Mom, I know that since I promised the 6-winged sunlight unicorn, I will definitely resurrect it after I become a god. Qian Renxue touched Bibi Dong's hand affectionately and said. Bibi Dong glanced at Qian Renxue. Become a god? It is a happy event for others to come. For tens of thousands of years, how many extreme Douluos have been eager to achieve the position of god but couldn't? Qian Renxue was born with a position of god. However, becoming a god is a tragedy for Qian Renxue, because she can only inherit the angelic deity, and the worship of the angelic deity is Qian Daoliu. He wholeheartedly paved the way for Qian Renxue to become a god, so except for Tang San, Qian Renxue became a god the most smoothly, but the moment she became a god was the moment when Qian Daoliu fell. People can be resurrected from death, but Qian Renxue, as an angel god, cannot resurrect own as a sacrifice to a god. Although I don't want to see Qian Daoliu very much, he is Qian Renxue's grandfather after all. It is conceivable that when Qian Renxue became a god, Shrek should blame me for not telling her about it. But if she told her herself, Qian Renxue would definitely not inherit any angel deity. Bibi Dong calmed down the distress. She suddenly looked into the distance of the Douluo Great Forest, patted Qian Renxue's back, and said, since the purpose of this trip has been achieved, let Trick Blood and Shilong accompany you. Let's go back together. Mom, how about you? Qian Renxue asked. Bibi Dong said, I'm staying in the Douluo Great Forest and there are still some things I haven't dealt with. You can leave with the 2 elders first. But don't worry, Shrek, I am a titled Douluo at 98th level. You have seen my strength before. The entire Douluo forest cannot threaten my existence. Bibi Dong confronted both Blood and Shilong. The man motioned. Shilong and Xingxiu understood, they took Qian Renxue and left towards the outside of the Douluo forest. Chapter 86. Bibi Dong walked towards the depths of the Douluo Great Forest. Bibi Dong admitted that he had very good luck during this trip. From subduing the 6-winged sunlight unicorn to forcing him to sacrifice, to Qian Renxue's absorption of the spirit ring and spirit bones, none of them attracted the fierce beast level in the depths of the Douluo Great Forest. The presence. But in the end, the fierce beasts of the Douluo Great Forest were still provoke. A huge bear drove over from the depths of the Douluo Great Forest. His height is a full 15 meters, his body is covered with a thick layer of dark golden hair, and his arms are extremely long. With his huge body, his arms actually fell to the knees, that is to say, the arm is extremely long, even more than 10 meters, and it is extremely strong, with sharp claws extending from the arm. He is the fierce beast Xiangjun of the Douluo Great Forest. The fierce beast is getting angry, and all the soul beasts have retreated wherever he went. The reason for his anger was that he could feel that the breath of the 100,000-year soul beast was disappearing, and the 100,000-year soul beast had chosen to sacrifice and sacrificed to a human being. Jun Xiang's anger is not only anger at human beings, but also at the 100,000-year soul beast. He pursued the breath of the 100,000-year soul beast, and slowed towards that place. On the other side, Bibi Dong rushed over from the forest and stopped in the direction of Mr. Xiang. Lord of the forest, stop. Bibi Dong walked out of the dense forest and appeared in front of Jun Xiang. It's up to you. Jun Xiang felt the powerful aura emanating from Bibi Dong. This strength, from the perspective of humans, was a super Douluo level, but he didn't care and said, there is no one who can stop me, but since you are here, then I will kill you first, and then go after the human being. That's right, as the king of the Dark Gold Dire Claw Bear clan, he dared to challenge even the extreme level of Emperor Tian, let alone a person who has not reached the limit yet. With that said, the Dark Golden Dire Claw Bear raised its claws high and launched the strongest attack towards Bibi Dong. Dark Golden Terror Claw. The Dark Golden Claws even reached the point of tearing apart the space, and slammed towards Bibi Dong. Half-step extreme strength, known for his strong offense, his attack even reached the limit level. Bibi Dong didn't make a counterattack or defense against the closer and closer claws. Under her feet, a black spirit ring bloomed with black brilliance. Immediately afterwards, she was surrounded by a realm. Inside the realm, there were all kinds of substantive negative emotions, jealousy, hatred, sadness. A trace of contempt flashed across Xiang Zhengxiang's face, even Tian did not dare to ignore own attacks. Is this stupid human being actually planning to take his own trick? The dark golden terrifying claw fell on Bibi Dong, and the dark golden brilliance drowned her, and her combat power was directly annihilated by the dark golden terrifying claw bear's energy, turned into a scorched earth, and the smoke billowed. Jun Xiang retracted the bear's claws without even looking at her, and walked directly in the direction of Qian Renxue, who left the Star Do Great Forest on the other side, in the direction of the porcupine snake spear. Before taking a few steps, a claw shadow turned into a starlight ripped off the rolling smoke and slowed towards Jun Xiang's claws. Starlight's claws also reached the limit of power and directly scratched Jun Xiang from behind. If he hadn't been for his thick skin, he would have been torn apart by the starlight claws, but even so, this way the power of starlight claw also made the skin behind him tore a bloody wound. The wound made Jun Xiang angry and irritable. He turned around, but saw Bibi Dong standing in the air, raising his right hand, his palm turned into a sharp dragon claw, absorbing the brilliance of the starry sky. You have eaten my dark gold terrible claws, even if it is limit Douluo, you have to be seriously injured, how can you have nothing to do? Jun Xiang said suspiciously, except that Bibi Dong's face was a little pale, and his lower lip was bitten. Apart from the bleeding, there was no accident, not even internal injuries. This made Jun Xiang feel astonished. Did I miss the attack? Eat your dark gold terrifying claws? Your attack is actually nothing more than that. Bibi Dong said mockingly. Of course, ridicule is ridicule. In fact, Bibi Dong is not comfortable with his attack. The reason why she looked unscathed was because she activated the Sadness Witch's soul ability. Once this soul ability was activated, it directly consumed half of her soul power, and it caused her to endure the greatest pain in history. The pain caused by the dark golden terror claw is several times higher. What is this concept? Bibi Dong couldn't describe it in words. In the face of Jun Xiang's attack, she bit her own lower lip so that she didn't let herself lose face. However, after the huge pain, the increase brought is also huge. The influx of powerful forces. Although these forces are only temporary, such power is enough to make Bibi Dong reach the point where he can fight the limit. Seeing that Mr. Xiang was about to chase his own daughter again, Bibi Dong, who was relieved from the pain, immediately attacked Mr. Xiang. What are you talking about? Do you dare to despise me? Jun Xiang heard Dao Bibi Dong's ridicule, and was very angry. He once again raised the bear claws, and used his proud tearing claws to grab Bibi Dong. On the other side, Bibi Dong's star dragon claws also absorbed enough star power, and she shot with all her strength. Star Claw. Containing the power of the starry sky, the sharp claws shining with the stars collided with Jun Xiang's claws. Neither of them accepted each other, and poured their full strength. In the end, the entire land was blown apart by this terrifying energy. Annihilated a large area of the forest, and the surrounding area where the two stood was turned into a mess of scorched earth. The energy storm dissipated, and the figures of Xiang Jun and Bibi Dong appeared. There are wounds all over the huge body of Xiang Jun, blood is flowing everywhere, he is holding rough, his arms are trembling slightly, and he looks very embarrassed. Bibi Dong, on the contrary, did not suffer any injuries, but her right hand was trembling slightly. The ability of the sorrow which will always consume half of the soul power when activated. However, the stronger, the more majestic the soul power, the longer the duration of the ability to activate the sorrow witch, and the longer the increased time after the effect is over. Bibi Dong's sorrowful witch's effect can last for 3 minutes, any attack can be eaten in 3 minutes, and the boost can last for more than an hour. It is a heaven-defying ability, but the pain it brings directly hits the soul. And Bibi Dong didn't seem to have suffered any injuries, but he was not launching an attack either. Come again. The more and more wounds on his body caused Xiang Jun's eyes to flash a bloodthirsty light, he danced his claws, and once again killed Bibi Dong. Tear the sky claws, dark gold terrifying claws, one after another attack, continuous and uninterrupted. Bibi Dong's complexion changed slightly. Although he was able to withstand his attacks one after another, it could bring him more and more powerful gains, but this kind of pain that was torn apart by dark golden terror claws was not so comfortable. She also made an all-out effort, using the starlight claws to hit Jun Xiang while activating the Nightmare Witch's ability to continuously disintegrate his mental energy. In the forest, the dark golden light and the starlight constantly intertwined. The two figures collided back and forth, and the aftermath of the confrontation collided on the cliff, and even shattered the cliff. Chapter 87. Among the several attributes in Douluo Continent, the most recommended attribute is gold. Gold is a symbol of power. The ultimate power is the ultimate gold. The ultimate power is far above other ultimate attributes. Even if it does not reach the ultimate level, it can also compete with other ultimate attributes. Break Wanfa with one effort. However, any soul beast or martial soul that is contaminated with the name of gold is not ordinary. Like martial soul of the martial soul hall dedicated to the golden crocodile Douluo, and martial soul of the golden crocodile king, it is not the ordinary martial soul, and this compared to martial soul, the blue dot Tyrannosaurus is rubbish. It's a pity that, like Jux and Haitang, it's not famous because of the small number of people. And the angel of several generations of hammers, martial soul Pope Life, the top martial soul that cannot take care of itself, the clear sky hammer, it also has the characteristic of metal. He is good at breaking Wanfa with his strength, but even the clear sky hammer that has moved the world hasn't reached the level of the ultimate gold. As for the bear that Bibi Dong faced, the attribute of Jun Xiang was precisely metallic, but it had not yet reached the attributes of the ultimate gold. But even so, Bibi Dong, who experienced 2 increases in the Sad Witch, only achieved it at the point where strength injuries can contend with. In the end, it was another ability that brought down Mr. Xiang, the Nightmare Witch. While God gave Jun Xiang a powerful defense, its mental energy was not outstanding. After Bibi Dong noticed this, he restrained his attacks while concentrating on a fierce attack on the bear's spiritual world. Until now, this bear finally fell asleep and slept to death. In a dream, it met another dark golden terrine claw female bear, and then spring arrived, and it was the season of mating of all things. Seeing Mr. Xiang who was asleep, Bibi Dong didn't kill Mr. Xiang, but turned and left. She could kill Jun Xiang, but Jun Xiang was not one, but a group. Bibi Dong couldn't manage a group of fierce beasts behind him, because she was already at the end of the battle. After suffering several times of pain in succession, her spirit was exhausted enough to pay tribute to her. She mobilized the Sad Witch and used her spirit skills one after another, causing her spirit power to bottom out. She was not worried about the ordinary soul beast, but at this time, a soul beast that was more than 100,000 years old would be fatal to her. In the early morning, the sky turned up with a hint of white belly, the river from the Star Do Great Forest was flowing to the Heaven Do Empire, and there was a person drifting on the river. Bibi Dong Shuer, you don't have to worry about me, I just cleaned up a bear that didn't have long eyes, and that bear has already been cleaned up by me. Bibi Dong used the soul guidance device to report to Qian Renxue that he was safe. But Bibi Dong's current situation is not optimistic. At this time, Bibi Dong, she was too lazy to walk, lying on the river, letting the river drift until she left the Star Do Great Forest. The spirit beasts in the river, anyone who dared to approach, was crushed to death by Bibi Dong with spirit power. She lay on the river and rested quietly, not only restoring her spirit power, but also recovering from yesterday's mental state. Sad Witch, this ability is very strong, but people who don't understand this ability will only choose to blindly attack and make Bibi Dong fill up the buff in these 3 minutes. In the end, even if it is the limit, Bibi Dong can have a battle with it. Force. But correspondingly, its side effects are also obvious, and there is no limit to pain. To give an example, throw a person into the sun, he will not feel any pain, because he will be instantly vaporized. But once this person turns on the state of the Sad Witch, then he will not die immediately, he will fully experience a pain called being burned several times by the sun's heat of thousands of degrees. Without a strong mental energy, she really may not be able to bear these. It seems that after I go back, I have to do the appropriate training. Bibi Dong said. She didn't plan to give up developing this spirit ability because of the side effects of this ability. Bibi Dong was drifting downstream along the river, and before he knew it, he had already arrived at the outer area of the Star Do Great Forest. It's very safe here, at best, there are only some 1,000-year-old, 100-year-old spirit beasts. These spirit beasts looked at the female corpses wandering on the river and wanted to come over and have a meal, but they were all crushed by Bibi Dong's majestic spirit power. Following this, she could leave the Star Do Great Forest directly on the river without walking, and come to the Barak Kingdom under the Heaven Do Empire. However, there is always something unexpected, isn't it? A girl with a perfect body in black leather was wading towards Bibi Dong. The visitor is not malicious, Bibi Dong can feel it right. She grasped Bibi Dong's wrist with one hand and pulled it to the shore. When she came to the shore, she placed Bibi Dong on the blue stone slab, and looked up and down at Bibi Dong with her cold eyes. She looked astonished. The woman she rescued casually had such a beautiful face, even her own couldn't compare with it. Bibi Dong's face was pale, but her breath was still there. When the girl saw it, she breathed a sigh of relief. The next moment, Bibi Dong opened her eyes, and her purple eyes met the girl's gaze. The girl was stunned for a while, and suddenly asked, "You are sober, but why do you let yourself drift in the river? You know, there are soul beasts in the river." Bibi Dong said, "Thank you, I just woke up." "Don't thank you, I just caught fish in the river and just happened to meet you," the black-haired girl said. After that, she glanced at Bibi Dong and asked, "You are hungry too? I'll go catch some fish in the river and roast it." Bibi Dong nodded. The black-clothed girl came to the riverside, possessed by martial soul. 2 cat ears grew from her ears, and the tail stretched out from behind her. A martial soul is a ghost cat, with a cool personality, and her body is so hot that she can catch up with the old aunt Bibi Dong, and her identity is vaguely guessed by Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong suddenly became interested. Seeing this woman's vigorous posture shuttled back and forth in the river, she stretched out her hands, and the sharp cat's claws stretched out on her fingers. She stabbed several times in the river, and pierced several fishes on 10 fingers one after another. She took these fishes to the river bank to have a fire and barbecue. After copying the fish, she divided out a portion of the grilled fish and handed it to Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong was not welcome, and directly picked up the fish and ate it. The taste of this grilled fish without any seasoning is not flattering, but Bibi Dong still eats this grilled fish 3 times and 5 times. After looking at the girl, he asks, "The martial soul you just used seems to be a star. Martial soul inherited from the Zhu family of the Luo Empire, ghost cat, you are from the Zhu family." The black girl trembled, looked at Bibi Dong, and said coldly, "Where am I? It seems that it has nothing to do with you. Eat good food, raise your body, and walk out of the Star Do forest." Chapter 88. After speaking, the black-haired girl just ate a few grilled fish, then left a piece for Bibi Dong, turned around and left. This river went out to the Barak Kingdom, which was the realm of the Heaven Do Empire, and a ghost cat girl came here alone. Adding to this time, isn't it just the timeline when the protagonist went to Shrek Academy to sign up? The identity of the girl is naturally ready to emerge, the ghost cat Zhu Xiaogang, one of the Shrek 7 monsters. Originally, it was her kind act to save Bibi Dong, but the two were originally strangers, and Zhu Xiaogang was naturally wary of her. In addition, Bibi Dong asked that question, which caused her to leave without looking back. Probably she thought that she was also the person who came to chase and kill her from the Star Luo Empire. "However, if I want to take you, can you run away?" Bibi Dong chuckled and closed his eyes. Her mental energy is very powerful, the sensing range can reach several kilometers away, and everything around is within Bibi Dong's sensing range. That girl, no matter how fast she couldn't escape the range of Bibi Dong's perception. At this time, she was on her way in the jungle, leaving the Star Do Great Forest and heading to the Kingdom of Barak. Bibi Dong's mental energy looked at this girl with every move, and her mind became active. Originally, she hadn't thought about separating the 7 Shrek monsters, dividing and conquering them, and so on. What she wants is to let them go together, grow up smoothly, support each other along the way, wipe out the sparks of friendship and love, and then circle and catch them all. Become a stepping stone for the Martial Soul Palace team. In her opinion, the Shrek 7 devils are completely a reduced version of the reactionary base. Almost all potential enemies and opponents in the Martial Soul Hall were gathered. Ning Rongrong is from the 7 Treasures Liulai sect, Tang San is from the Haoshan sect, Yu Xiaogang and Lu Erlong are from the Blue Lightning Overlord Longzong, Zhu Xiaogang, Dai Mubai is from the Star Luo Empire, and Xiao Wu is from the Soul Beast Camp. Oscar's identity is unknown, Ma Hongjun is just a civilian camp. Settle a den of reactionaries. From the standpoint of this, only Oscar and Ma Hongjun can stand on the side of the Martial Soul Hall. For these two people, Bibi Dong has no idea of wooing them. In the future, they will fall into her hands, either die or surrender. Bibi Dong, there will be no more nonsense. Tang San, Xiao Wu was destined to be the enemy. Ning Rongrong's father is the sect leader of the Kai Bao Liulai sect. This person has always been very jumpy. He often said that the upper three sects have the same energy. What does this mean? It means that the upper three sects must unite to deal with martial soul. Diane, this old guy is not so good at wooing him. You can't give in by turning Ning Rongrong. Bibi Dong naturally has no idea of wooing the 7 treasure glazed glass sect. In the future, it won't work. Killing people, destroying the faction and destroying the door will let you 7 treasure glazed glass sect evaporate from the world, and let the 7 treasure glazed glass sect martial soul become history. Bibi Dong is not incapable of doing this. As for Zhu Zuoqing and Dai Mubai, the two came from the Star Luo Empire. In the future, the martial soul palace will conquer the world. In the process of conquering Star Luo, the Nether and White Tiger tribes are the biggest obstacles. Naturally, they did not want to waste it on them. Energy plan. If Zhu Zuoqing did not show up in front of her, she would have no idea about this girl, but she was right in front of her. Could Bibi Dong let it go? Don't forget, she plans to form a team that is the same age as the Shrek 7 monsters, cultivation base and strength to completely crush the Shrek 7 monsters martial soul palace team. Zhu Zuoqing's talent Shrek is at the bottom, but how to say it, it can be regarded as a talent that can be created. Ghost Cat is another advanced martial soul. Bibi Dong is confident that after this woman falls into her hands, her achievements will surpass the original. Isn't it good to be single for such a beautiful girl? Why marry a man to spoil yourself? Moreover, Dai Mubai is not a good thing now. What is it called? Ji Xianwei Dai Mubai came, hugging left and right when she came out, the twin sisters, the 3 Shrek masters, he is the one who knows how to play. Although Dai Mubai was approached by Zhu Zuoqing later, he changed and rehabilitated. After that, he even displayed his team leader's temperament, but if he failed, he failed. Throwing his fiancée in the Star Luo Empire, and running to the Heaven Do Empire for fun, is this what a man should do? Thinking of this, Bibi Dong felt more and more that it was reasonable for him to turn Zhu Zuoqing here, and the stick in her hand became hunger and thirst again. It's not like playing Mandarin Duck again, so why not come again? But how could she be kidnapped? Bibi Dong began to plan in his heart. Suddenly, another group of people entered Bibi Dong's range of perception, 1 soul emperor, 3 soul kings, and a group of soul sects. The purpose of this team was not to hunt someone for a soul ring. From their voices, we can know that they are looking for Zhu Zuoqing. Obviously it was sent by Zhu Zuoqing's big sis. If Zhu Zuoqing, who is only a great soul master, falls into their hands, there is no accident that it is basically a dead word, but according to the inertia of the plot, Zhu Zuoqing finally successfully walked to Shrek Academy. They should have not found Zhu Zuoqing. However, their arrival just catered to Bibi Dong's needs, didn't it? You came just right, don't leave if you come. After the team chasing Zhu Zuoqing entered the Star Do Great Forest, they followed Zhu Zuoqing's trail all the way, but then the clue was broken. But they didn't seem to give up. After all, this was the task assigned to them by the Miss. A spirit master of the dog martial soul sniffed his nose and said, I can smell her, in that direction. Ha ha ha, well, it's not wasted that we chased and killed for so many days, very good, keep up. The group followed the spirit master of the dog martial soul and walked through the dense forest of first stage, finally determined Zhu Zuoqing's position. On the other hand, after Zhu Zuoqing left, she did not dare to stay. She encountered several interceptions in the Star Do Great Forest. She knew very well that her big sis wanted to die by herself all the time. Even in the realm of the Heaven Do Empire, she did not dare to relax her vigilance, especially after being mentioned by Bibi Dong about the identity of the ghost cat martial soul and the Zhu family. She was even more jealous. Thinking that Bibi Dong was the one who was chasing and killing his own people, he ran out of the forest the fastest with his own soul power. About to leave the Star Do Great Forest, suddenly. Second miss, you can make us easy to find. A forest came out of the dense forest and blocked Zhu Zuoqing's way of leaving the forest. The old man was extremely vigorous. He stopped in front of Zhu Zuoqing, and 6 spirit rings fell from his body. White, yellow, yellow, purple, purple, purple. The cultivation base of the 6th ring soul emperor pressed towards Zhu Zuoqing. Although his spirit ring matching is not flattering, the soul emperor is the soul emperor after all, and Zhu Zuoqing is far from his opponent. To make matters worse, a few people walked out from behind, and the 3 soul kings appeared in locations where she might have escaped, and a group of soul sects formed an encirclement to Zhu Zuoqing. Chapter 89. Unexpectedly, my big sis did this step in order to kill me. Zhu Zuoqing, who was trapped in the siege, said desperately. The Soul Emperor smiled and said, "Second miss, in fact, you don't have to be too surprised about miss, because which generation of the Zhu family is not like this? Didn't the Xingluo queens of all generations step on the bones of the sisters? This is you and you. Big Miss was born in the fate of Star Luo Zhu's family. Destiny, ha ha ha, destiny." Zhu Zuoqing tears across his cheeks and said, "What a destiny, I didn't expect to come to the realm of the Heaven Do Empire and still be manipulated by this destiny. Other sisters, who is not in love with each other, she came from the Zhu family, but she has to fight for life and death with own big sis. Zhu family, I really hate that I was born in Zhu family, all fate cannot be decided by me." The Zhu family's guest Qing worship had already stood in line early. Big sis was born several years earlier than himself. Cultivation base is ahead of him. I don't know how much. The gap of despair is not made up by talent and hard work. Therefore, as long as others are not stupid, they will stand on the side of Big Sis. Therefore, from the moment she awakened martial soul, she was at an absolute disadvantage, and she was assassinated by Big Sis many times. With that, Zhu Zuoqing summoned his own martial soul, and summoned his own martial soul possession. "It's a pity, Daimyo Bai, I didn't see you after all, so I can't go on with you." The battle started right away, but there was a whistling sound from the jungle. Someone came over here. The enshrined guests of the Star Luo Zhu family turned around and looked into the depths of the forest. The Soul Emperor asked, "Who, come out for me?" Bibi Dong walked out of the forest and came in front of a few people. Zhu Zuoqing said in astonishment, "Is it you?" Bibi Dong yawned and said, "I'm sorry to disturb you." Zhu Zuoqing frantically hinted Bibi Dong with his eyes to leave. After all, this is the Zhu family's affair. She thought that outsiders could not be involved, but Bibi Dong ignored Zhu Zuoqing's eyes. "That little girl is useful to me, but you can't let you kill it. I want to take her away. Do you have any opinions?" Bibi Dong pointed at Zhu Zuoqing. "Humph, we are from Duke Xingluo Netherworld, she is from the Netherworld Zhu family, she can't go with you," said the Soul Emperor. "Oh, it turns out to be from Star Luo Zhu's family." Bibi Dong smiled. "Knowing that we are from the Zhu family, then leave here and don't hinder us from doing things," said the Soul Emperor. "No, I said, I want that girl, but Dai Tianfeng is here, he dares to stop me, I will let you Xingluo Zongmiao an extra tablet." "Then you are looking for death?" the Soul Emperor said as he summoned the martial soul steel knife and slashed towards Bibi Dong. The sharp steel knife seemed to be about to split Bibi Dong in half. Bibi Dong just stretched out his fingers and clamped the steel knife, making him unable to advance. Immediately afterwards, she flicked the steel knife with her finger, and the Soul Emperor flew out with the artifact and soul and hit the surrounding trees. "Go together and besiege her." The Soul Emperor stood up embarrassedly and ordered. A group of spirit masters immediately summoned their own spirit ring and besieged and killed in the direction of Bibi Dong. Bibi Dong smiled slightly, and the 9 spirit rings fell one after another. To everyone's surprise, the spirit rings that fell one after another were not the standard configuration of a spirit master that ordinary people would understand: yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, 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 black and black. Starting from the first spirit ring, it was a black 10,000-year level spirit ring, and it was not ordinary black, but a deep black, and the life of the spirit ring was directly above the 50,000 year level. After reaching the 5th ring, the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th rings directly turned bright red. The 5 black and 4 red spirit rings fell down, and the terrifying soul power suppression directly included the Soul Emperor, and everyone except Zhu Zuoqing was suppressed on the ground. The Soul Emperor lay on the ground, raised his head, and looked at Bibi Dong in horror. She turned out to be a title Douluo. Moreover, it is not an ordinary title Douluo, this is a monster. Would anyone put a black 10,000-year spirit ring on his first spirit ring? No. My Angxia, please forgive me for having no eyes, I dashed against you, and also ask you not to remember the villain and let us go. The Soul Emperor said tremblingly. Bibi Dong ignored the Soul Emperor, but turned his gaze to Zhu Zuoqing, who was still standing, and said, "As a gratitude for the kindness you have fished me out of the river before, it's up to you to decide these lives and deaths." Zhu Zuoqing stared at Bibi Dong's spirit ring with a dull gaze. After hearing her words, he recovered and said cautiously, "My Angxia, your strength, Even without me, you can walk out of the river. Let you decide, whether they live or die, you decide a word. Bibi Dong said impatiently. At this moment, all the powerhouses in the Star Luo Zhu family looked at Zhu Zuoqing and begged for mercy. If the Soul Emperor hadn't been suppressed by Bibi Dong's spirit power on the ground, he would have even crawled over and knelt and licked it. Pray for Zhu Zuoqing's forgiveness. Second Miss, be merciful, we are also following orders. Yes, we have been ordered by Miss, if you can let us go, we will definitely serve you as the master. Zhu Zuoqing came back to his senses, looked at Bibi Dong, and saw the indisputable eyes, his heart trembled suddenly, it seemed that he had to make a choice. Since Zhu Zuoqing left the Star Luo Empire, she has been chased by them all the way, from the Star Luo Empire to the Heaven Do Empire. Just now, they almost died in their hands. Zhu Zuoqing looked at these people resentfully and asked, I ask you, if it was just now, would you let me go? According to orders? You see me, big sister, who is more capable of getting the position of queen. You value the power and position she can bring to you, and you are obedient to her orders. If you let me decide, I hope they die. Zhu Zuoqing said bitterly. Bibi Dong nodded, looked at Zhu Zuoqing, and a hint of playfulness flashed through. Without waiting for others to argue, Bibi Dong snapped his fingers. These people from Star Luo Zhu's family who came to chase and kill them instantly exploded, blood splattered, broken organs, and blood flying. Zhu Zuoqing, who was among these people, was even covered with these blood organs. Zhu Zuoqing's expression of resentment solidified, her face turned pale, her delicate body trembled, looking at the broken corpses in front of her. Vomit. Although Zhu Zuoqing grew up in assassinations, she has not seen blood many times. She vomited for a long time, but she couldn't relieve herself. In fact, this is what Bibi Dong deliberately did. Since she intends to accept Zhu Zuoqing, let her see blood first. You know, the golden generation of Martial Soul Palace, which one has never seen blood. After a long time, Zhu Zuoqing's vomiting turned into retching. She found a river tremblingly, took out the changed clothes and took a shower. After removing the smell of blood from her body, she came to Bibi Dong. Chapter 90. Make you laugh. Zhu Zuoqing said embarrassedly. Everyone came here like this. Bibi Dong said, however, you have to understand that every powerful soul master has blood on his hands. Zhu Zuoqing nodded, and she said, thank you very much. If you didn't help me today, I might be the one who died. My Angxia, what do you want me to do? Zhu Zuoqing asked suspiciously. Zhu Zuoqing has not forgotten that the reason Bibi Dong saved herself is because she just said, this little girl is useful to me. Isn't this matter in a hurry, where do you plan to go next? Bibi Dong asked. Balak Kingdom, Soto City. Zhu Zuoqing told the truth. It just so happens that I also have an apprentice in the Barak Empire, I'll go with you. Bibi Dong's words revealed something that could not be denied. Although Zhu Zuoqing wanted to refuse, thinking of her terrifying strength, he could only remain silent. She must have a certain purpose for herself, otherwise, how could she just go to Soto City by herself? She will also go, but considering her strength, Zhu Zuoqing can only let the flow go, she can't resist the Soul Emperor, even more what's more, titled Douluo. The two of them went to Barak Kingdom as they walked for a long time. Bibi Dong looked at Zhu Zuoqing with curiosity, but he didn't dare to ask with a smile, you want to know who I am, why I saved you, and the configuration of my spirit ring, right? Zhu Zuoqing was taken aback, then nodded. When the time comes for the first two questions, I will naturally tell you, but the last question. Bibi Dong asked, do you know how many years the best year of a soul master's spirit ring is? Zhu Zuoqing thought for a moment and said, the first spirit ring has a life of 423 years, the second spirit ring has a life of 764 years, the third spirit ring has a life of 1760, the fourth spirit ring has a life of 5,000 years, and the fifth spirit ring has a life of 12,000 years. The life of the spirit ring is 20,000 years, the life of the seventh spirit ring is 30,000 to 50,000 years, the life of the eighth spirit ring is more than 50,000 years, and the life of the ninth spirit ring can absorb a 100,000 year spirit ring if you are lucky. But Zhu Zuoqing glanced at Bibi Dong. She couldn't imagine why Bibi Dong was able to absorb the spirit ring of someone else's eighth and ninth spirit ring when she was in the first spirit ring. Isn't she afraid? Exploded and died? Bibi Dong smiled slightly and said, you are right. This is common sense in the spirit master world, but this is not absolute, because common sense can be broken, and there is no shortage of methods in the spirit master world that can absorb the life of the spirit ring beyond the age limit. How to leapfrog to absorb? Zhu Zuoqing asked curiously. Then she realized that she had made a mistake, and she had absorbed the spirit ring beyond her age. This was an absolute secret in any force. How could she tell herself? There are several ways to skip the absorption period. Bibi Dong said, the first method is the most restrictive. First of all, you have to be a twin martial soul, and, as much as possible, you must match the 6 soul bones in your body to obtain a strong physique. In the process of cultivation, you only cultivation a martial soul, cultivate this martial soul to the level of title Douluo. When the first martial soul ring is complete, you cultivation the second martial soul. Your second martial soul ring is the first soul ring. It can be equipped with 10,000 years or even 100,000 years of spirit ring. 9 black spirit rings are basic. If you are lucky, the 9 red spirit rings are all possible. Bibi Dong said. Zhu Zuoqing nodded, remembering the spirit ring that Bibi Dong had shown before, and suddenly felt that she was probably the twin martial soul she was talking about. The second method is also very restrictive. Bibi Dong said, this method is a god test. God test? Zhu Zuoqing was stunned. Although she was a noble of the Zhu family and had a bit of knowledge, she did not involve the level of god test. Even many titled Douluos on the mainland did not know these secrets. Above titled Douluo, 100-level god, there are some trial places left by gods on the mainland, and people with talents can enter the test, and make a difference from the first test to the 9th test of the god level, a god test. Once the tester of god passed the assessment, some of the rewards would be the age of the Ascension Spirit Ring. Bibi Dong said. The soul ring's age can still be Ascension? Really worthy of being a god? Zhu Zuoqing's eyes became fierce, and she suddenly had an urge to find her own fiancé no longer. If she became a master examiner, would she still be afraid of being chased by her big sis? Seeing Zhu Zuoqing's fiery gaze, Bibi Dong shook his head and said, your qualifications are indeed good, but they are not enough to get God's attention and lower the assessment. Zhu Zuoqing suddenly smiled bitterly, and that's right. With so many titled Douluos in the mainland, none of them have ever produced a god tester. When will it be my turn? I was dreaming in the day. The third method is to try breakthrough from the physical body. When absorbing the spirit ring, if you can break through yourself in the physique, you can try to absorb some spirit rings that exceed the age limit. Of course, it must be less than 10,000 years old. A spirit ring that is more than 10,000 years old, you must not only break through your physique, but also find a breakthrough in your spiritual soul, otherwise you will not be able to withstand the soul shock of 10,000 years of spirit ring. Bibi Dong said. Zhu Zuoqing nodded. Although this method is difficult, it is easier for himself than the previous 2 methods. The 2 of them were walking and chatting. As time passed, Zhu Zuoqing also forgot Bibi Dong's identity and began to chat with her. Before they knew it, the 2 came to the outside of Soto. At the entrance outside the city of Soto, 2 people walked up. 2 people in Soto City were waiting for them long ago. A sturdy man, his skin is hard and dark, his limbs are sturdy and powerful, and his height of more than 2 meters is quite outstanding, standing there, like a mountain. Next to him was a woman with rose-colored hair, yellow-orange pupils, and a woman wearing a rose-colored dress. Her figure was outstanding, no less than Zhu Zuoqing, and her appearance was even more beautiful. Outside Soto City, ushered in countless passers-by turnaround rate. If it weren't for the breath radiating from the strong man, someone would have come up to talk to him. After they saw Bibi Dong and Zhu Zuoqing, they went straight to the front. The girl with long rose-colored hair said, I have seen the teacher. The strong man on the side said, I have seen the Lord. Zhu Zuoqing stood aside and didn't speak, but looked at the woman with long rose-colored hair and couldn't help comparing with himself. Introduce, this is Zuoqing girl. Bibi Dong first introduced Zhu Zuoqing to the 2 of them, and then introduced Zhu Zuoqing to the identities of the 2. This man named Simon Kuang is a titled Douluo, and this one is my 3rd disciple named Shiliu Yekyu. Chapter 91. Is a titled Douluo taking charge of her? This is Emperor Xingluo, and there is no such treatment. Zhu Zuoqing was shocked. As the cat is curious, Zhu Zuoqing wanted to know what her identity was. Several people exchanged greetings, and when preparing to enter the city, Bibi Dong picked up a human skin mask and put it on. After a while, she turned into a 40 or 50-year-old appearance. Bibi Dong is indeed 40 or 50 years old, but her 40 or 50 years old is the appearance of an ordinary person 40 or 50 years old. In one word, she is a half-old mistress. Zhu Zuoqing was extremely surprised. Bibi Dong explained, "My identity is very special. Some people in the city may recognize me. If you enter the city, you can call me Dong Ai. If nothing else, Flanders knows her identity." Zhu Zuoqing. Aunt Dong, is there a Dong in her name? East, who is it? Whose name on the mainland has an Eastern character? Zhu Zuoqing couldn't remember for a while, but looking at Bibi Dong's face with a different face, thinking of his fiancée who went to Soto City, a hint of calculation flashed in his heart. Under the crown, if you can lend me a face mask, it's better to be uglier. Zhu Zuoqing asked cautiously. Also call me my Angxia, you have to call me Aunt now. Bibi Dong took out another face mask from the soul guidance device and handed it to Zhu Zuoqing. Thank you, Aunt Dong. Zhu Zuoqing gratefully took the face mask and put it on. The face mask given by Bibi Dong is not flattering. Zhu Zuoqing, who did not wear a face mask, is absolutely superb, but once she wears this mask, with her devilish figure, the legendary figure kills her. Seen from behind is a beautiful woman, turned around. Oh! However, you just disguised your own appearance, and you can't disguise the breath of your own martial soul. Bibi Dong said. Do you know what I want to do? Zhu Zuoqing asked. You want to see your fiancé in another capacity to see what he has been doing all these years, right? Bibi Dong said. Zhu Zuoqing nodded. The 16th Autumn on the side said, there is indeed a soul master who uses White Tiger martial soul in the great arena of souls in Soto City. His name is Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai, and Zhu Zuoqing's eyes lit up, and it seemed that he had not found the wrong way. Dai Mubai was indeed in Soto City. However, although you can fool him by appearance, your martial soul can't fool him. It can form the martial soul fusion technique. Two martial souls can interact with each other. Bibi Dong said from the soul. He took out a ring from the guide and threw it to Zhu Zuoqing, saying, wear it, it can help you conceal your breath well. Zhu Zuoqing nodded, and finally put on the ring. Sure enough, just as Bibi Dong said, Zhu Zuoqing's martial soul breath faded. A few people entered Soto City, and after arriving in Soto City, Bibi Dong's next layout began. She forced the sound into a line and said to Simon Kuang, you go to Soto City Hall and wait for me first. Yes, Lord. Simon turned madly and headed to the Martial Soul Hall. On the other side, Bibi Dong closed her eyes, her mental energy spread, and the appearance of the entire city of Soto was clear in her spiritual world. At a soul master's shop, she saw Flanders. On another street, from the description in the book and the breath of the 100,000-year soul beast, she also found the protagonist of this work. In the future, the Tang Ritu who raised the martial soul hall and her ashes, and the one who was killed by others 100,000 years old rabbit. In a humble tavern in the city of Soto, a sturdy but sloppy man is drinking cheap and inferior ale. He doesn't look remarkable, but it is indeed the strongest presence in the entire city. Haoshan Douluo. Tang Hao. The corner of Bibi Dong's mouth curled slightly. Tang Rishan noticed that someone was scanning the city with mental energy, his complexion suddenly changed slightly, put down the ale in his hand, pulled the black robe, and looked around, but the mental skin came quickly and went quickly, Tang Hao no trace found. The discovery of Tang Hao was something Bibi Dong expected, but the target of her trip was Dai Mubai, not Tang San and his son, so she didn't care. So she took 16th Autumn and Zhu Zuoqing to the Sinful Rose Hotel. Zhu Zuoqing was very unwilling at first, but he couldn't refuse Bibi Dong's kindness, so he had to follow him to the Rose Hotel. When the three of them were about to enter the Rose Hotel, it happened to be. Outside the Rose Hotel, only 3 people appeared opposite them, preparing to enter the Rose Hotel. These 3 people, 1 man and 2 women, and the 2 girls are gorgeous, they all look like 17 or 8 years old, and they are tall. The most amazing thing is that they look exactly the same, they are actually twins. The man walking in the center is about 1.8 meters tall and looks young, even smaller than the 2 girls behind him. He has broad shoulders, a handsome appearance with a bit of fortitude, and his long golden hair is scattered behind his back, hanging straight to the waist position. His hair is not curly, but hangs straight there. The most noticeable thing is his eyes, they are a pair of evil eyes, both eyes are actually twin pupils. With an extremely handsome appearance and such a pair of eyes, such a man will become the focus of attention no matter where he is. There is no doubt that he is Dai Mubai. Before he entered the hotel to have a friendly discussion with Tang San, he was cut off by Bibi Dong and Zhu Zuking outside. Watching Dai Mubai hug the twins left and right, and Bibi Dong looked at Dai Mubai with a playful look, she could already feel the substantial black air radiating from Zhu Zuking behind her. However, Dai Mubai didn't know it at all. He looked at the three people who came across, and was stunned. Rose Hotel, isn't this a love hotel? What are you three women doing here? It's not like that. A half-old mistress should be a good beauty when she was young, but unfortunately when she is old, he is not good at this. As for the other person, when she turned her face, her figure made Dai Mubai look at her. A little greedy, but turned his head around. Seeing her face, she suddenly lost the mood, she became disabled, and Bai had grown such a good figure. Feeling his unabashed disgust, Zhu Zuking's body was trembling, his pupils were turning, and tears were spinning. Soon, she turned her face away again, not wanting to see Dai Mubai. Dai Mubai didn't notice this, his pair of evil eyes quickly looked at the last of the three, Shiliu Yekyu. The appearance of 16 Nights Autumn is no less than that of the top beauties in the Douluo world. Her figure is not inferior to Zhu Zuking. Especially the rose-colored hair and the rose-colored dress give her a different kind of charm. Dai Mubai's hand holding the two twin sisters suddenly loosened, and he suddenly felt that the twin sisters in his hand no longer fragrant. And the twin sisters cast their eyes on 16 Night Autumn, and those two pairs of eyes were full of hostility. Dai Mubai hugged the twin sisters and came to Bibi Dong's trio. He directly ignored Bibi Dong and Zhu Zuking, looked at 16 Yekyu, and said with a smile, "Beauty, get acquainted. My name is Dai Mubai. They are all called Boss Dai. Is this the first time you come to this Rose Hotel? I often help some beauties in need. Is there anything I need to help? I will try my best to satisfy them," said Dai Mubai, put on a pretty handsome posture. Chapter 92. I have to say that Dai Mubai's face is indeed abch, no wonder there are so many beautiful women who can fall under him. But it depends on the scene, right? If you hug a pair of twins, you still have to hook up. Even the twin girls narrowed their mouths unhappy. But they didn't say anything. Why didn't they know that Dai Mubai had other women besides them? Both parties were just playing around. What Dai Mubai coveted was their beauty. How could they covet Dai Mubai's beauty? If he could marry such an excellent soul master, he would have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Twin sisters can also accept it. Thank you, but I don't need it. 16 Yekyu said. Don't worry, I think you just came to Soto City. Dai Mubai smiled and said, I know this well enough. If you don't want it, then forget it. If you want, please let me be your guide. I can take you to some fun places to play and eat some delicious food. All the money will be paid by me. Of course, if you want, I can also take you to play some fun games. Fun game? Zhu Zuking suppressed the anger in his heart and asked with a smile, is it like the game you played with the twins? Would you like to take me to play with it? Dai Mubai looked at this woman with a twitching expression, cursing in his heart, what kind of station is this ugly monster to dismantle? No, miss, you should find someone else. Dai Mubai, who was a Yan control, naturally didn't want to play games with this ugly girl. Although her figure was not critical, she was crippled. Zhu Zuking looked at Dai Mubai's dislike of own, and unexpectedly calmed down a lot. He retreated behind Bibi Dong without speaking. Dai Mubai turned his head to look at 16 Yekyu, and asked, Beauty, what do you mean? I also have a fun game, do you want to try it? 16 Yekyu said with slightly narrowed eyes. Beauty, please say. Dai Mubai smiled. Duel, said 16 Yekyu. Duel, are you talking about fighting spirits? Almost meaning. 16 Yekyu said. Dai Mubai's eyes lit up and said, okay, no problem, but Beauty, how old are you this year? 12 years old. 16 Yekyu said. 12 years old. Dai Mubai looked at Shiliu Yekyu in surprise. He didn't expect her to grow up like this at a young age. However, he didn't feel surprised that in Douluo Continent, martial soul and the way of obtaining spirit rings and spirit bones could all change a person's physical appearance. The 12-year-old Tang San 1.7 meters is a model. This reminded Dai Mubai of her fiancé who was far away in the Star Luo Empire. She had already begun to take shape when she left, and she didn't know what she looked like now. People's appearance can also cover up their age, but bone age cannot be fooled. In Douluo Continent, bone age is a way to distinguish age. 16 Night Autumn is indeed 12 years old this year. 12 years old. Dai Mubai smiled slightly and said, then, how old are you like Dai Mubai? 15 years old this year, Martial Soul White Tiger, 38th level War Soul Lord, let's do that. I don't bully you, I will use the first 2 spirit abilities to fight you, if you can force me to use the 3rd spirit ability, then I will lose, how about it? Dai Mubai can be known as the silver baby of the world, and naturally has his capital. The method of teasing sisters is one aspect. He was born in the Xingluo imperial family. Even if the princes who are not to be seen, he also has enough material basis to tease sisters, and then his looks, born with evil eyes, have an attraction to women like a magnet to iron. Of course, what makes him most proud is his talent. The 15-year-old 38th level war spirit master is already a top genius. I don't need you to give me a bit, let me do my best, don't be convinced when the time comes. 16 Yekyu said with a sneer. No, I still said that. If I have the 3rd spirit ability, even if I lose. Dai Mubai would really admire 16 Night Autumn. He knew his own martial soul and own spirit power, but he even returned it. Do you let yourself be fully confident, or is it arrogant? Of course, if it was the latter, Dai Mubai didn't mind, he had always been tolerant of beautiful women. The news that the two were going to fight their souls outside the Rose Hotel immediately attracted the attention of the people around them. As the protagonists of this work, after Tang San and Xiao Wu finished the room check-in inside, they were also attracted by the movement outside and left immediately. Come out and watch the game in the crowd. Bibi Dong looked at Tang San Xiao Wu, and finally achieved a freeze on Xiao Wu. Others saw Xiao Wu as a young and beautiful girl, but in Bibi Dong's eyes, she was a rabbit exuding the breath of 100,000-year soul beast. Xiao Wu felt Bibi Dong's gaze, and looked at her. After the two gazes touched in the air, Xiao Wu suddenly felt a sense of being watched. She pulled Tang San's clothes, quietly. Hiding behind Tang San. Bibi Dong retracted his gaze, not paying attention to Xiao Wu. Now is not the time for Bibi Dong to deal with Tang San Xiao Wu, she has already laid out all the layouts she should have. In the future, she will wait for Tang San Xiao Wu to drill into her sleeve. Don't be in a hurry. Xiao Wu only breathed a sigh of relief. Secretly in my heart, Contra, title Douluo? Probably not, this kind of character wouldn't be able to meet him on the street casually. Xiao Wu, what's the matter with you? Tang San asked with concern. Brother, it's nothing. Xiao Wu said with a guilty conscience. On the other side, the two had already divided the venue. Dai Mubai was standing on one side of the venue, and Shiliu Yekio was standing on the other side of the venue. The appearance of the two attracted the attention of people around. Fighting spirits are rare. Many people who want to see a fighting spirit have to spend money to enter the arena to see it. This kind of street fighting spirit is hard to see. Dai Mubai asked the twin sisters to stand aside, then moved their bones and said, Beauty, I have already reported to my martial soul, so it's your turn. Of course, you asked for a suddenness. Problem. No need, 16 Night Autumn, my martial soul is Rose Flower, 33rd level control soul master. 16 Night Autumn said. Dai Mubai's expression changed slightly, with a relaxed expression on his face. 12 years old, 33rd level cultivation base, this. What kind of talent is this? He came from Shrek Academy, and he naturally knew that Shrek Academy's criteria for recruiting monsters must be under 13 years old and with a spirit power level of 20 or higher to be admitted. When Dai Mubai entered school, he was 12 years old and only 25th level. Between the two, it was 8th level. Is she the legendary Xiantian full of spirit power? Thinking about this, Dai Mubai's eyes suddenly became hot. If he could win this woman, wouldn't it be easy to defeat the own big brother and take the Xingluo throne with her power in the future? Although his talent is not as good as hers, he has rights. He can give her the rights of Queen Star Luo. Dai Mubai naturally forgot his own fiancée selectively. After all, no matter what the world, the weaker side of the woman has a marriage contract between the two, and the cost of the man's abandonment of the marriage contract is lower than the cost of the woman's abandonment of the marriage contract. Look at Dai Mubai, who has abandoned his fiancée, came to Soto City to have fun, mastered the ability of time management, and was able to conduct 4 dates at the same time, perfect connection, and a scumbag. As a result, he was still the main character in the original book. If this were to replace Dai Mubai with Zhu Zuqing, she would directly poke her spine and curse, "What Douluo Panjinlian, what silver woman?" Seeing Dai Mubai's naked gaze, Zhu Zuqing's heart suddenly burst into flames, but she still held back her anger and kept watching. On the other side, another interested person is naturally Tang San. The martial soul of the plant category, and the control department, has reached the 3rd level of 30 at his age. He really wants to know what kind of control her control is. The battle began. White Tiger, possess. A white tiger phantom appeared behind Dai Mubai, and immediately afterwards, his body swelled up instantly, his head full of golden and white hair turned into black and white, with white hair dominating it. White tiger martial soul, in the Douluo Continent, is slightly inferior to the blue electric Tyrannosaurus martial soul, but it is also one of the top martial soul, the martial soul of the top assault system. At the same time martial soul was summoned, White Tiger's power spread to the entire arena, pressing towards 16 Night Autumn. The 3 spirit rings of yellow, and purple fell down. This was the spirit ring with the best match of the spirit master. Obviously, Dai Mubai wanted to use his strength to conquer the opposite woman, let her become his own woman, and help him ascend the Xingluo Emperor. On the other side, 16 Night Autumn also summoned own martial soul and spirit ring. Chapter 93. A rose and thorns clung to the palm of 16 Night Autumn, the gorgeous rose bloomed with an intoxicating fragrance, and 3 spirit rings fell down. Purple, the 3 purple halos are very eye-catching. Everyone was shocked, they looked at the 3 spirit rings around 16 Yekyu's body incredibly. How is this possible? Someone said. Although there are not many soul masters, there is still common sense in the soul master world. The first soul ring of a person is basically white or yellow, and the second soul ring is also a yellow soul ring. It is basically impossible to achieve the third color. Purple is in this position. Even people with unparalleled talents can't do this. 16 Night Autumn actually achieved the point where the 3 rings are all purple, how can it not be surprising? And Tang San, who has always focused on the master's theory, was already stunned at this time. He said, "This does not conform to the teacher's theory. The teacher's theory should not be that the life of the first spirit ring is 423 years, and the second ring is 764. Was the third ring in 1760, how did she do it?" These 3 spirit rings were all absorbed above the upper limit, even though her third ring was also purple, but that purple was far more purple than Dai Mubai's purple spirit ring. Dai Mubai quickly eased from the shock. He remembered what he had said before. He defeated the opponent without the third spirit ability, and he was a little suspended. If it was to deal with a great spirit master, it would be fine if he didn't produce the third spirit ability, but if it was dealing with a spirit sovereign and the ratio of spirit rings exceeded him, the increase in the 3-ring purple spirit ring would be unimaginable. "Allow you to reorganize your language." 16 Yekyu said, "You will do your best, otherwise you will lose at that time, I'm afraid you won't be convinced." "Okay." Dai Mubai nodded, he didn't drag his head, and directly used the spirit ability of own purple spirit ring. The third spirit ability White Tiger Vajra transformation Dai Mubai's coat burst open, and black stripes appeared on his skin. If there was no hair, it would really be a tiger skin. After using the most powerful spirit ability, Dai Mubai's body was full of strength, and his confidence returned. He popped out his tiger palm and slapped towards Shiliu Yekyu. The tiger's palm was sharp, with the sound of breaking the wind. Almost everyone looked at the changes in Dai Mubai, and on the contrary, Tang San looked at Shiliu Yekyu. He wanted to know how this soul master, who is also a plant control department, would deal with this situation. I saw Shiliu Yekyu holding a rose, and the bottom spirit ring lit up. The first soul skill, Hate Thorns. The thorny cane broke open from under the ground, and then came out, entangling Dai Mubai's hands and feet in an instant. The spikes of the thorns directly broke through Dai Mubai's hard skin and pierced into his body. Dai Mubai didn't succeed in the attack, and recovered, his hands and feet were already bound. The cane is not just as simple as restraint, but also constantly draws on his soul power during the restraint process. If Dai Mubai can't break free of this bondage in time, his spirit power may be completely absorbed. He struggled hard, breaking through the thorns with a powerful force, although he tore open the abomination thorns, but the force of breaking through had a certain loss of his soul power. Chu was quicker, urging his first soul ability with all his strength, and the new thorns once again entangled him, continuously and endlessly. Seeing that he couldn't get rid of the continuous loss of soul abilities, Daimyo Bai had no choice but to use his second soul ability. Second spirit ability, White Tiger Light Wave. The milky white light converged from his mouth and spit out in the direction of 16 Night Autumn. 16 Yekyu did not use his own spirit ability to block, but instead raised a thorny plant barrier to block Daimyo Bai's spirit ability. The light wave hit the wall of thorns, and did not tear open the rose birch as Daimyo Bai had hoped, but only knocked out half of it. The next moment, the wall spread, she stretched out her hand, and a few rattan sticks appeared in one place. A rattan stick came out from behind Daimyo Bai, wrapped around his neck, pulled him back, and another rattan. The strip wrapped around his waist. Under the entanglement of the two canes, Daimyo Bai had no chance of breaking free. More and more thorns and canes wrapped around Daimyo Bai's body, tightly restraining him, and constantly drew spirit power from him. With the passage of time, the more unable to break away from Chu's spirit abilities, Daimyo Bai became weaker, and the weaker he became, the more terrifying his hatred of thorns became. Chu walked to Daimyo Bai's body step by step, looking at Daimyo Bai with indifferent eyes. She stretched out a hand, and a rose flower stretched out from the thorns. She picked the rose flower from the flower casually, and the tip of her nose touched the petals lightly. Sniffed and said, "I didn't even use my second spirit ability, so I fell. I will give you the words you said before." As he said, Chu flicked the rose flower in his hand, and several petals fell. The petals that originally exuded the fragrance suddenly burned in the air. The purple flame burned the petals with a fiery breath, and fell to Daimyo Bai. Body. Daimyo Bai ignited instantly. A screaming scream came from Daimyo Bai's throat. I give up, spare me, don't burn me." He tremblingly begged for mercy. 16 Yekyu waved her hand, the cane dissipated, and the purple fire on Daimyo Bai's body dissipated. This is not to say that 16 Yekyu was not ruthless enough, but that her flame was not an ordinary flame. It might be burned out. Daimyo Bai fell to the ground weakly. The crowd saw his appearance. His whole body was burnt, and his whole body was pitch black, like a piece of coke. There were obvious strangulation marks and punctured wounds in the place where it was entangled by thorns. It looked terrible. The spirit power on his body was directly absorbed to the bottom. Others looked at Daimyo Bai's miserable situation, looked at the indifferent 16 Yekyu, and said in their hearts, "Thorny women are not easy to provoke." Compared with the wounds on his body, the feeling of frustration in his heart is more painful. Daimyo Bai always regards himself as a monster. Now, he realized that a mountain is higher than a mountain. After completing this matter, Bibi Dong left the scene with Shiliu Yekyu and Zhu Zuking. However, Daimyo Bai's luck was still very good. Two spirit masters of the healing system walked out of the crowd and treated Daimyo Bai under his healing beam. The tangling ability of that thorn is very powerful, far more powerful than the bonus brought by my blue silver grass with the tenacity of the mandala snake. After watching this battle, Tang San started to think. He put himself in the position to think about it, and he could also imagine that if his own blue silver grass were to wrap Daimyo Bai with full firepower, would he really be able to entangle him there? The answer is no, not only can't, but it will also be easily broken. Is this the gap between the waste martial soul and other martial souls? No, it's not right. Her cultivation base has a soul sovereign level, and the first soul ability's soul ring has reached the millennium level, which is far from my 100-year level soul ring. Besides, I have a second martial soul too. Tang San comforted himself. In fact, the vines brought by the ordinary blue-silver grass, no matter how they are added, are no better than the thorns of 16 Night Autumn. After all, her thorns originate from the Black Rose Dragon, unless Tang San can evolve the blue-silver grass into the blue-silver Emperor, and the spirit ring match is good, only when the evolution direction is complete can it be comparable to her cane. After all, the martial soul qualities of Blue-Silver Emperor and Black Rose Dragon are both top martial soul, but Black Rose Dragon will be slightly stronger, close to the level of Super Martial Soul. Due to the arrival of Bibi Dong and the others, the first meeting between Daimyo Bai and Tang San in the original work was soaked. Tang San and Xiao Wu had already set up a room in the Rose Hotel, and Daimyo Bai was beaten by Shiliu Yekyu. Left in embarrassment. Chapter 94. Leaving the Rose Hotel, the three walked to another luxurious hotel and opened a room. Zhu Zuking asked the doubt in his mind, "She is the twin martial soul." Twin martial soul? Bibi Dong said with a chuckle, "If Chu was the twin martial soul, I wouldn't let her waste her talent so much." Zhu Zuqing. The 3 rings are all purple, is this a waste of talent? Bibi Dong said, the advantage of the twin martial soul is far greater than you think. He only needs to cultivation a martial soul to the title Douluo level, and then attach a spirit ring to another martial soul. Think about it, another one. What is the age of martial soul's first spirit ring? Zhu Zuqing suddenly enlightened and said, more than 10,000 years. It's more than 10,000 years, at least 50,000 years, and even if there are enough spirit beasts, 900,000 year spirit rings are not a problem, Bibi Dong said. 900,000 years. Zhu Zuqing was dumbfounded. She really couldn't imagine title Douluo reaching this level of strength. If Chu is a twin martial soul, I wouldn't let her 3 spirit rings be only satisfied with the millennium age. Bibi Dong said to 16 Yekyu, you tell her how old your spirit ring is. 16 Yekyu nodded and said, my first spirit ring has a life of 1923, my second spirit ring has a life of 2,264 years, and my third spirit ring has a life of 3,460 years. Did you hear anything? Bibi Dong asked. Zhu Zuqing was taken aback for a moment, then he thought about it randomly, and said in surprise, why would she add 1,500 years to the limit of the life of her spirit ring when she has an extreme spirit ring ratio? Could it be that? Yes, God test. Bibi Dong said. In a sense, the trial space opened by Bibi Dong was considered a God test, and when 16 Night Autumn was summoned, she had already acquiesced that she had passed 2 undead trials. Zhu Zuqing had some envy in her heart. If she had a godly test, why should she be trapped in the fate of the family? By the way, I met your fiancé, what are you going to do next? Bibi Dong asked. The mention of Dai Mubai made Zhu Zuqing desperate. She looked at Bibi Dong and sighed, and said, I can't escape the fate of the family after all. Maybe, my life will end at 25 years old. From birth to now, Zhu Zuqing has never given up his own life, and has been desperately cultivating, striving to catch up with own big sis, defeat her, and get rid of own fate. But seeing Dai Mubai's appearance made her feel desperate. However, I will kill him, and then I will stop myself. Zhu Zuqing said. Bibi Dong, 16 Night Autumn. It seems that Zhu Zuqing thought the same in the original book, such a staunch woman. I have to say that Dai Mubai really failed Zhu Zuqing at this time. He fled to the Heaven Do Empire by himself for a tour of the mountains and water, leaving his girlfriend to struggle on the line of life and death. The original book also tied them together, haha. Bibi Dong and Shiliu Yekyu glanced at each other and picked up the stick in their hands at the same time. It's still not cruel enough. 16 Yekyu suddenly felt regretful for letting this fellow Dai Mubai go. 16 Night Autumn belongs to the type of cold outside and hot inside. It's not as cold and ruthless as Tang San. It's just that there is a conflict in his mouth, so he dared to prepare a hidden blade to shoot the doorman to death. For people who have only met once, she really doesn't will kill you. Your life is yours, you don't have to be bound to him. Bibi Dong said, don't you know, he has a title in Soto City, called the Gai Shi Yin Wa the woman in his hands. I don't know why you can have 3 dates in a day. I ask you, why should you go to death with him so much? Gai Shi Yin Wa, Gu Shi Yin Wa, what a great silver doll. Zhu Zuqing was shaking. She looked at Bibi Dong and said, I want to confirm one thing. Bibi Dong was very clear about Zhu Zuqing's whereabouts and did not stop it. Bibi Dong handed the room number to Zhu Zuqing and said, if you still want to come to us, then come here. After Zhu Zuqing took the room number, he nodded and turned around and left. On the other side, Bibi Dong brought 16 Night Autumn to the Soul Master's shop where Flender was located. Flender's shop sells some ineffective soul guides. There is only one person in the store. This person is Flender. He is lying on the wooden recliner and shaking slightly, his chin is a little protruding. His cheekbones are very wide, his chin is protruding forward, his face is flat, and the whole face is a bit like shoe soles. He wears black framed crystal eyes and closed his eyes, but he looks a bit cunning. Bibi Dong ignored Flanders, looked at the shop for a while, and found the head-sized crystal. The crystal was not very eye-catching. It was transparent and contained a large piece of dark yellow impurities. Bibi Dong came over, picked up the crystal and weighed it, and looked around. There was no other similar crystal here, so she walked up to Flanders and said, I want to buy this crystal, how much will it cost? It's not expensive, 100 gold soul coins. Flanders said. Bibi Dong glanced at Flanders, took out 200 gold soul coins from the soul guide and threw them to Flanders, saying, 200 gold soul coins, I bought this crystal. Without opening his eyes, Flanders said, not enough money. What do you mean, the teacher gave you twice the money, you still don't think it is enough? 16 Yekyu said angrily. If it is not enough, it is not enough. 100 gold soul coins are the price just now. Now I need this number. Flanders stretched out his palm, spread 5 fingers, and said, 500 gold soul coins. 500 gold soul coins. Bibi Dong narrowed his eyes slightly. As the Pope, of course she is not short of money, let alone 500 gold soul coins, just ask her to take out 5,000 or 50,000 gold soul coins, that's okay, but she is regarded as a triumphant. Accurate. 500 gold soul coins, I want the crystal. A tender voice came from outside the door. Bibi Dong turned around and looked over, it turned out to be Tang San. Tang San stared straight at the crystal in Bibi Dong's hand and said. The way he looked at the crystal was as if the cat saw the fish, the dog saw the meat, and the strange bird saw the single little lily. Little San, what are you doing to buy this rotten crystal? This crystal has no luster at all, poor transparency, and no color attached. Is it really worth 500 gold soul coins? Tang San ignored Xiaowu on the side, his gaze was always on the crystal, and Xiaowu on the side narrowed his mouth in depression. Couldn't I be more fragrant than that crystal? Flanders stood up now, looking at Bibi Dong and Tang San, his eyes flashed a treacherous look. I saw this crystal first. I bought 500 gold soul coins. Bibi Dong said in a deep voice. The higher the price, I will give out 600 gold soul coins. Tang San said with a heavy breath. Flanders did not sell the things to Tang San the first time, but gave Bibi Dong a treacherous look and said, then this guest, what are your bids? Bibi Dong sneered, then took back 2 bags of soul gold coins and took out 2 soul gold coins from the 2 bags of soul gold coins, and said, I will give out 2 soul gold coins and buy everything in your store. Flanders' face, who had a treacherous smile, suddenly sank. Chapter 95. 2 gold soul coins? You just want to buy all the things in my shop, customer, don't you want to make this kind of joke with me? Flanders said in a deep voice, if you don't want this thing, I will sell it to the customer next to you. I'm not kidding, 2 gold soul coins, I want everything in your store, and I hope you can agree, because in this world, it is better to have more love and peace. Bibi Dong said very calmly. Flanders angrily said with a smile, oh, then, if I don't sell you, do you still plan to do it? Bibi Dong said nothing. Flanders had summoned his own martial soul, Cat Eagle. Yellow yellow purple purple black black black. The 7 best matched spirit rings surprised Tang San Xiaowu. They really couldn't think of this little known shopkeeper, he turned out to be a soul sage. Looking at my martial soul and spirit ring, I will give you a chance to reorganize the language. Flanders spread his wings behind his back and rose into the sky, looking condescendingly at Bibi Dong and 16 Yekyu. Cat Eagle martial soul, so you are Flanders, one of the flying horns of the Golden Triangle. Bibi Dong pretended to be surprised. If you have eyesight, leave 1,000 gold soul coins, leave my shop, and leave more love and peace in this world. Flanders fought back after learning Bibi Dong's words. Humph! Bibi Dong snorted coldly and said, why bother, this world is so beautiful, why should we make it full of violence? As soon as the voice fell, a suffocating soul power suppression directly fell on Flanders' head. Flanders, who was still fluttering in midair, was suddenly pressed to the ground, and the hard floor was cracked with cobwebs. Like cracks? You! Flanders was shocked. Although Bibi Dong didn't show her spirit ring, he could still feel her strength from this spirit power suppression. She is at least a title Douluo. Now, my mind has changed. There is too much rubbish in your store, and there are some things I don't need. Then I will use a gold soul coin to buy you and I other things in the store that I like. Bibi Dong retrieved a gold soul coin from the 2 gold soul coins on the table, and then packed the other things in the store. Then, Tang San with a playful look, said, then, you still want to buy this crystal? No, no. Tang San swallowed, staring straight at the crystal, unwilling to do so, and had to bow his head. There is no way, just the soul saint level shopkeeper is not something he can deal with. How can he deal with this person who can easily suppress the shopkeeper? He is capable of facing enemies across ranks, but that can only be done when there is not a big difference in strength. And Xiaowu no longer had the vitality at the beginning. She draped Tang San's shoulders and shrank behind him. She didn't know exactly how strong this woman was, but she was very likely to have reached the level above Contra. Chiu, let's go. Bibi Dong said and left with Shiliu Yekiu. Tang San just noticed that the woman behind this mysterious woman turned out to be the owner of Martial Soul, the control system Rose Flower, who had a close relationship with him before. Thinking of her age and strength, she must have also come to apply for Shrek Academy. After Bibi Dong and 16 Yekiu left, Xiaowu sighed in relief. Another sigh of relief was Flander. He stood up embarrassed and looked at Tang San. When he was about to rush people, he found the soul guide on Tang San's body and recognized him as a master's disciple. After the two met, Flander was also a lot more polite. After greeting for a while, Tang San asked, the shopkeeper, that person just now, her strength. Hey, if I guessed correctly, it should be a title Douluo. Flander said with a wry smile. The strength of his soul saint would not be so embarrassing even if he faced a soul Douluo. The only thing that could make him lie on the ground without any resistance was the title Douluo. Title Douluo. Xiaowu's face turned pale. Teacher, what are you doing to buy this crystal for? 16 Yekiu asked puzzledly. This crystal is of no use in your hands, but in the hands of some people, it is more useful. It can become an invisible weapon that kills people. Bibi Dong said. Then why not give it to him? Good things can only shine and heat when they are in the hands of someone who knows how to use them. 16 Yekiu asked. Very simple, what if he is our enemy? Bibi Dong threw this crystal into the soul guidance device casually and said. 16 Yekiu suddenly understood. He pondered for a while and said, is that the boy? You will understand later. Bibi Dong said. This crystal was of no use in Bibi Dong's hands, but in Tang San's hands, it could be more useful. Tang San's early stage equipped with a powerful weapon, the dragon's beard needle, was extremely insidious. I don't know if Tang San, after losing the long beard needle, and Xiaowu being beaten by Zhao Wao Qi, did Tang San stand up when facing Zhao Wao Qi, or did he shrink up? To be honest, she was really curious. Go, let's go back to the main hall of Martial Soul Palace. Bibi Dong said. After returning to the main hall of the Martial Soul Hall, Bibi Dong did not show his own identity, but was warmly entertained after showing the Pope's order. The master of the Martial Soul Hall of Soto City is Rockline, a cultivator of the Soul Emperor level. He warmly entertained Bibi Dong and 16 Night Autumn, while Ximen Kuang has been waiting in the sub-dial for a long time. Hall Master Luo Klein, I have something to tell you to handle next. Bibi Dong said. Elder, please speak up. Ro Klein said. Bibi Dong nodded and said, I want you to help me collect some information about nearby geniuses. Of course, it is best to have two kinds of people, one is 13 years old, the cultivation base is above 20, and the fifth below level, don't be too high. It can also be 12 years old, but the cultivation base should not be less than 10 fifth level. If you are above the 20 level genius, you should be fast. As for why are children in this range? The reason is simple, Bibi Dong is ready to do something. I see, Elder, I'll do it right away, said Palace Master Recline. Master, do you have anything you need to tell me to do next? Ximen Kuang asked. Not yet, wait for Ro Klein's information. Bibi Dong said. The efficiency of the Martial Soul Hall was indeed very fast. After a while, Ro Klein sent the children's information over. In fact, Bibi Dong's requirements are not high. Children in the two ranges can indeed be regarded as one of 100 geniuses. Their Xiantian spirit power is basically in the range of 5, 6, and 7, but it is not without it. Under the jurisdiction of Martial Soul Hall in Soto City, there is no shortage of such geniuses. Bibi Dong looked at the origins of these geniuses, and his brows tightened involuntarily. Nobles, rich men, and these geniuses basically have this background. Although they are small and rich, they are also nobles. There is no one Bibi Dong wants. Chapter 96. Because martial soul can be inherited, and because of the existence of Zionation soul power, how the world develops will also be divided into 3, 6, or 9 grades according to the quality of martial soul. From the top to the top 3 transcendent existences, the martial soul they inherited are all top-notch existences, and down there are large and small families and so on. But civilians are not without any opportunities. Nobles rely on inheritance, and civilians rely on upgrades. The base of civilians is large. There is phoenix in the grass chicken coop. Ma Hongzhen is one such example. And if the own martial soul can be inherited, the powerful martial soul inheritance that civilians have upgraded will also become an upstart in the future, especially for people like Ma Hongzhen. If he can inherit phoenix martial soul from generation to generation, it may not be better than blue electric Tyrannosaurus is bad. And the person Bibi Dong found was just a good example of a civilian who wanted to counterattack. Li Qing, martial soul battle rhinoceros, Xiantian spirit power 4, current strength 51 soul king, spirit ring configuration, white, yellow, yellow, purple and purple. The merchants who traveled between the two empires of Tiando Xingluo, who were speculative in character, accumulated a series of wealth by doing business and courting the nobles. He was born as a commoner and had no chualu. Because of the status of a soul master, he gained a certain position in the business world and accumulated a certain amount of wealth. Naturally, his idea is to inherit the own upgraded martial soul, obtain the rank of the Heaven Do Empire, and become the new nobility of the empire, inheriting it from generation to generation. However, everyone knows what urination is in the Tiandu Empire. There are only so many statuses. You become a new nobleman. Doesn't it mean that others get less points? It's not that easy to get a tribute in the Star Do Empire, unless you really have the heaven-defying talent of the Shrek 7 devils that are worthy of the royal family, otherwise. Li Qing is stuck in a very embarrassing position. The talent cannot be improved or lowered. The Heaven Do Empire will not destroy the ancestral system in order to win you over. Therefore, Li Qing has a long way to go to become a nobleman. But the way of the common people's soul master, he can cultivate to the soul king, basically has come to an end. Fortunately, Li Qing has a talented son named Li Jing. He inherited his own upgraded martial soul battle rhinoceros. The Xiantian spirit power reached level 6, which was even higher than that of him. In order to give his son a good starting point, he spent a lot of money to use personal connections and hunted 2 suitable spirit rings for his son. Therefore, Li Jing's spirit power level is 22, and the spirit ring ratio is yellow and yellow. This kind of talent is already quite good. Of course, it is incomparable with the evildoers of the National Soul Master competition. Bibi Dong took Li Jing's information and handed it to Lo Klein and said, "Go, bring me their father and son." Before long, Ro Klein brought Li Qing and his son to the Martial Soul Hall. The martial souls of the two are both war rhinos. The effect of martial soul is that their bodies are very strong. Their father is a soul master and a businessman, and the son is a pure soul master. It is difficult to lose a few shares of a businessman. Shrewd. Dare to ask, Palace Master Rockline, what can you do with us? Li Qing asked. Nothing else, Elder of the Martial Soul Hall wants to see you. Ro Klein said. Li Qing was very nervous, took out a bag of gold soul coins from his pocket and handed it to Lo Klein quietly, saying, "Hall Lord, why did Elder look for me? Did I commit something?" Recline accepted the golden soul coin and said, "No, Elder just picked your son from some geniuses. Maybe he has a good talent for your son, so he wants to bring him to Martial Soul City for training." After listening, Li Qing breathed a sigh of relief, and followed Lo Klein to the hall of the Martial Soul Sub-Hall. In the hall, Bibi Dong sat in the first place and tasted tea, followed by Ximen Kuang and 16 Night Autumn. "Elder, I brought you all the people." Ro Klein said. Bibi Dong nodded, then looked at Li Jing behind Li Qing, and asked, "He is your son? He looks like a talent, and he should be a good talent." "Why, Elder, my son's talent is just like that." Speaking of his son, Li Qing said with a smile, when his martial soul awakened, Zionation's spirit power was only 6. Bibi Dong looked at Li Qing with a black line on his face. "Why do I sound like showing off if you are self-effacing?" Bibi Dong said to Ximen Kuang, "Mad Rhinoceros, martial soul is a war rhinoceros. It has a relationship with you. Well, I think you have nothing to do with you. They too are qualified to be your righteous sons and grandsons." Ximen Kuang wanted to refuse, but the characters summoned from Carrie were absolutely loyal to Bibi Dong. Even without this, Bibi Dong's order he could not refuse. Helpless, Ximen Kuang could only say, "Enough." Li Qing and Li Jing on the side were stunned. Why were they talking about these words, and suddenly they were told to recognize their father and grandfather, and they had not asked their opinions. Especially Li Jing, who just graduated from the Intermediate Soul Master Academy, is a little genius. How can he recognize a grandfather casually? "I don't want to recognize a grandpa." On the other side, Simon Kuang punched his fist on the table and said angrily, "Why, you have wronged you by admitting me as a foster father." "I'm not wronged, Li Jing, be quiet." Li Qing scolded, then said with a smile, "This elder, I'm sorry, my son was impulsive, and I hope you won't remember the villain." Although he is not willing to recognize a dad out of thin air, it depends on what kind of occasion. The status of these two people is obviously not simple. Simon Kuang stood up from his seat without talking nonsense, directly possessed martial soul, and summoned his own spirit ring. The 9 spirit rings of yellow, yellow, purple, purple, black, black, and black, although not the best spirit ring matching, are still a titled Douluo anyway. The shadow of the armored rhinoceros appeared behind Simon Kuang. Although his spirit power was restrained, everyone in the hall except Bibi Dong felt the pressure. Fang! Title Douluo. Li Jing peed in shock. He also knew the legend of the Soul Master Realm, that the 9 rings were the soul ring matching that titled Douluo possessed, and the person in front of him turned out to be titled Douluo. He looked at his own father tremblingly, and was stunned. Li Qing knelt down on the spot, worshipped again and again, and said, "Foster father is here, please be worshipped by his son Li Qing." As he said, he stared at his own son fiercely, and said, "Nazai, don't hurry over to visit your grandfather." Li Jing reacted and rushed over quickly and bowed down on the spot, "Grandpa is here, please be respected by your grandson." Simon Kuang had originally accepted the 2 sons reluctantly, but seeing their sincere eyes, he also acquiesced. Ro Klein on the side was extremely jealous, a titled Douluo tyrant, and the Li family was afraid that he was about to take off. "If I let me recognize my father, I would be willing. It's a pity that I can't live up to it." Chapter 97. Simon Kuang said, "Okay, you will be my son and grandson from now on, Li Qing and Li Jing, so you can share my last name." "Hey!" Li Qing was stunned again. Bibi Dong looked weird on the side. She asked Simon Kuang to accept Li Qing just on a whim. "I didn't expect Simon Kuang to change his surname like this, Li Qing, after changing his surname, wouldn't it be why, do I have to change my surname to be the same as yours?" Simon Kuang said. No, Dad, I didn't mean that." Li Qing said, "From now on, I will change my surname from Li Qing to Simon, Simon King, and Li Jing. You can also change your name and call Simon Jing." Li Qing is not an aristocratic family himself. He is only a well-known businessman until now. Naturally, he doesn't attach much importance to the inheritance of own surname. Okay, father." Simon Jing said. Simon madly nodded, and said to Simon Qing, "Son, your talent is over. Fortunately, you haven't wasted the grandson's talent. Very good. In the future, the spirit ring he needs to hunt can be wrapped on the old man's head." Ns. After Simon King heard it, he said with joy, "Thank you, Dad." Simon King now only sees first stage as his son's cultivation base. With the Soul King's cultivation base, he can hunt 2 good spirit rings, but with Simon Jing's strength ascension, he needs to hunt for the soul beasts. The stronger the strength, the more difficult it will be for him, and it will not even help him at all. Now, with the father with the title of Douluo strength, all problems were solved immediately. "Then I would like to congratulate you." Bibi Dong smiled and said, "Today I won not only a son who can do business, but also a grandson with great talent." Simon Kuang has a black line on his face. "Didn't you let me accept them as sons?" After finishing talking, Bibi Dong looked at Simon Jing and said to Simon King, "Your son has a good talent. He is a 13-year-old, 22nd level Great Spirit Master. He is really a little monster." Simon King said awkwardly, "Elder, my son's talent is really good, but he can't reach the level of a monster." Bibi Dong shook his head and said, "I said he is, he is." After speaking, Bibi Dong asked, "Do you have any Soul Master Advanced Academy you want to go to?" Simon Qing said regretfully, "There is no way. We are all civilian students. The Senior Soul Master Academy of the Tiandu Empire is almost not open to civilian students. The only open academy is Qian Renxue Academy, but the standards of that academy are extremely demanding. He only accepts beautiful women, and he is still a water spirit master. Simon Jing's talents are good, but the Intermediate Spirit Master Academy has basically come to an end. In the Heaven Do Empire, if you have no strength and no status, you will be struggling." However, after talking about this, Simon Qing quietly glanced at Bibi Dong and Simon madly. These problems that had plagued him before were no longer problems. For a titled Douluo level dad, it is not a problem to enter Huangdu Academy. If he can catch the line of the Martial Soul Hall Elder, then entering the Martial Soul Hall Academy for further training is not a problem. Bibi Dong cast a mad look at Simon, and said, "You who are grandpa, shouldn't you find a way out for own grandson? While I am here, which Soul Master Academy dare not accept my grandson? I think they are looking for death." Simon said furiously. "I have a good place, I don't know if you are not interested." Bibi Dong said, "There is a Shrek Academy near Soto City. It is said to be an academy that specializes in monsters. Your grandson can also be young. The name of a generation of monsters, it happens that monsters are worthy of the Monster Academy, and they are a perfect match." Simon Kuang said, "Okay, this is Shrek Academy. My grandson is a monster, and it happens to be worthy of this Monster Academy." Simon Ching said awkwardly, "Dad, Shrek Academy's requirement is to be under the age of 12 and a cultivation base of level 20 or above. Jinger has already exceeded this limit." Shrek Academy Simon Ching did not think about it before. It also did not reject the civilians. Unfortunately, the requirements were too high. On Simon Ching just pressed the line, and only obtained the second spirit ring at the end of last year. At that time, history has passed. It's time for Lake's admissions. If it exceeds, it doesn't matter. If Shrek dare not accept it, then Daddy will tear down his Shrek Academy." Simon Kuang said. Simon Ching suddenly understood, "CEO working you to spare such a big circle, the purpose is to find trouble with Shrek." However, he can only pretend not to see. Shrek Academy does have a background. There are several Soul Emperor Soul Sages in it. They are indeed not bad. Normally, he looks up to the existence, but now, there is a title Douluo. The senior daddy held on, even if Shrek Academy was demolished, what could they do? After Simon Ching, and Luo Klein retreated, Simon Kuang's original rough and wild expression converged. He looked at Bibi Dong and asked, "Master, you asked me to accept Li Qing and his son. The purpose should not be just to trouble that Shrek." Bibi Dong looked at the scenery outside the window and said, "Originally, I just wanted to trouble Shrek with Shrek's rules, but after reading the information of Li Qing and his son, I didn't think so. There is a talent I value, you say, do I value this father or this son?" Simon frantically thought for a while, and said, "My son's cultivation has come to an end, and my grandson's talent is still a little bit. If it is a little bit of cultivation, it won't be a problem to become a soul saint in the future. But, do you think a genius with potential as a soul saint, do I care?" Bibi Dong said, "This kind of genius is not lacking in Martial Soul Temple Academy. In this world, you can't just judge whether a person is a talent based on the standards of a soul master." Bibi Dong said, "Some people's talents are not embodied by the cultivation talent of a soul master." With that said, Bibi Dong handed Li Qing's information to Simon Kuang and let him see it. After Simon Kuang took a look at the information, he immediately understood Bibi Dong's intentions. "Lord, this needs a pocketbook." During Li Qing's life, the soul master cultivation base was remarkable, but a large part of his time was soaked in business. He traveled back and forth between Xingluo and Tiandu Empire. He concentrated some vendors on the border between Tiandu and Xingluo. They got together and established a chamber of commerce called the Star-Do Chamber of Commerce. The goods of the various members of the Chamber of Commerce were collected and sold back and forth between the two empires to make a difference in price. Chapter 98. There was once a description like this: there is a golden mountain on the opposite bank of the river. Everyone wants to cross this river to discover the golden mountain. So someone made a ferry and transported people to the opposite bank of the river to find the golden mountain. Someone asked this ferry, "Why don't you go to the other side of the river to discover this golden mountain?" Ferry said, "I don't need to cross the other side of the river to discover that golden mountain, because my golden mountain is here." Li Qing is undoubtedly such a ferryman. If Simon King is placed in his previous life, Bibi Dong has a hunch that he can quickly become bigger and stronger and become a big businessman. But sadly, he gave birth to the wrong world. The fantasy world is cruel. Fist is the last word. Even if you can make money, you will only make money for the noble power in the end. Li Qing, who was born as a commoner, would be constrained everywhere, even if he took the road of commerce. Some powerful people wanted him to pay filial piety, while others wanted to annex him and let him behave. Make money by yourself. Under multiple oppression, Li Qing was already struggling. Therefore, his business has not been able to grow, because most of the available cash flow goes into the pockets of the nobles. This is the same as the merchant Shen Yishi in 1566 of the Ming dynasty. On the contrary, why is the 7 treasure glazed tile school rich in the world? Because they have the strength to keep their wealth. The development of Martial Soul Hall is now the ultimate Soul Master world. It is now a huge monster, but there are great difficulties. If you simply develop the Martial Soul Hall, it has already come to an end. Position in other industries will only arouse the vigilance of other forces. Bibi Dong said, your strength is placed in the Martial Soul Palace, just icing on the cake, which is why I want you to accept the father and son. Bibi Dong, as the Pope, did think of drastically reforming the Martial Soul Palace, to develop commerce, to win over blacksmiths, and to restrict Tang San's development, but some things were not so easy to operate. The Martial Soul Palace is the #1 power in the world, and his every move has attracted much attention. If Bibi Dong wants to engage in business, use the business model of the previous life to control the 2 empires through capital. Needless to say, at the beginning of the implementation of this plan, 2 empires, 3 sects, what do you want to do, what do you want to do, what evil conspiracy you have, don't come over. Therefore, outside of the Martial Soul Hall, running a new power and using this power to build the power you want to build is Bibi Dong's first choice. But here comes the problem. Take the title Douluo in the Martial Soul Hall as an example. They are all title Douluos recorded in the book. Why do other forces look down on the Martial Soul Hall? They think there are only 10 title Douluos in the Martial Soul Hall. On the one hand, it was because the Contra inside the Martial Soul Hall became a titled Douluo and hid it, on the other hand, it was because the old guys did not die. But their origins are all people from the Martial Soul Palace, and they are not easy to use. The Rhinoceros Douluo is different, his origin has nothing to do with the Martial Soul Hall. There are a lot of things that can be done here. The new power Tiandu, Xingluo, and the Shang Sanzong will not regard them as the fangs of the Martial Soul Hall, and may even have to fight against the Martial Soul Hall. Go win them. What Ximon King lacks is strength and money. We can give him these, but you must firmly control him. You will assist them and take control of the capital of the 2 empires of Tiandu Xingluo, so that Xingluo and Tiandu do not need to be the territory of the Martial Soul Palace, they are already our pocketbook. Bibi Dong said. Yes, Lord, I will definitely do my best to complete your task. Simon Kuang said solemnly. Bibi Dong casually threw a pope order to Simon Kuang, and said, I will assign some of the soul masters in the Martial Soul Temple to you for dispatch. In addition, tell your son, to develop the early stage, you can get all the funds you need from I'm here to get it, but don't expose his relationship with Martial Soul Palace. Yes, Lord. In the evening, Ximon Kuang and On's 2 cheap sons, Su, went home, while Bibi Dong returned to the hotel with Shiliu Yekiu, and happened to run into Zhu Zuking, who was ashamed of face. In fact, through mental perception, Bibi Dong already knew what Zhu Zuking was doing all day. She went to follow Dai Mubai to know what Dai Mubai was doing this day, but what disappointed her. After Dai Mubai's battle with 16 Yekiu was cured, he became alive and well, and then, Dai Mubai became a time manager, manipulating the laws of time. He exerted his super powerful time management ability. This would date the twins, and then took time to go to another hotel to date another beauty. Then he accompanied another beautiful woman to go shopping, and he took 3 dates at the same time in one day. I just don't know why his martial soul is not time but white tiger. And Zhu Zuking, who had witnessed all the process, came to Dai Mubai at the end of the day and took off the mask and ring. When he saw Zhu Zuking with the beautiful face exposed under his ugly face, Dai Mubai was stunned. After a disgusted and desperate look at Dai Mubai, Zhu Zuking said angrily, Dai Mubai, I originally thought that you left the imperial family to find an environmental cultivation to defeat your big brother, but I misunderstood you. I struggled on the line of life and death in the Star Luo Empire every day, and you are here to find flowers and ask Lu, are you worthy of me? Zuking, don't call me Zuking, disgusting. Since you are willing to fall and feel uncomfortable in this place, you should fall for a lifetime. I also want to find my own future. Zhu Zuking said and turned and left. Dai Mubai wanted to stop Zhu Zuking, but he didn't know how to speak. He did live up to Zhu Zuking and hid here by himself. One can imagine how much wrong Zhu Zuking has suffered in his family over the years, and today, he is today. Zhu Zuking caught the matter again. speechless. After leaving Dai Mubai, Zhu Zuqing thought about committing suicide. She struggled all her life just to defeat own big sis. However, own's fiancé was willing to degenerate. What else could she do? But in the end, a ghost followed the room number given by Bibi Dong and came to the hotel, among the rooms they had opened. Zhu Zuqing has never been as helpless as she is now. When she saw the figures of Bibi Dong and 16 Yekyu, she couldn't help but rushed into Bibi Dong's arms and burst into tears. She didn't care that Bibi Dong was a peerless titled Douluo, nor did she care how much anger caused by her own behavior, she only wanted an object to pour out her heart. Chapter 99. That's the way it is. Zhu Zuqing said all the things she had experienced in one breath, venting the depression in her heart. She was very grateful that Bibi Dong and Sister Chu could patiently listen to her talk about this matter. Dai Mubai is indeed not an individual. He left his fiancée in Xingluo, but he ran to Tiando. Shiliu Yekyu said angrily. Abandon own fiancé and hide from the depravity of Gan, forget about it, and put a green hat on the fiancé. Don't mention him, hearing his name makes me feel sick. Zhu Zuqing said in disgust. She hated Dai Mubai, hated him for failing to win, hated him for self-willingness and depravity. So what are you going to do next? I can count on it. I have struggled for a lifetime. I won't be able to escape this fate. Zhu Zuqing shook his head and said, since he is willing to fall, I have no chance of working hard. Sis is in good hands. The fate of the two was bound together, and how could she live alone without Dai Mubai? Could it be that she should challenge Davis and Zhu Ziyun alone and then take Fei Mubai this trash? Or defeat the own big sis and grab the man Davis with the own big sis? Hey, this is the fate of being born in Xingluo Zhu's family. Zuqing, in fact, you don't need to be like this. Bibi Dong comforted, I ask you one thing, how many titled Douluos are under the control of the royal family of the Star Luo Empire? At present, Emperor Dai Tianfeng is a titled Douluo. Zhu Zuqing wiped the tears from his eyes and said. Isn't that right, when you have cultivated into titled Douluo and are returning to your Zhu family, can the rules of the Star Luo Empire restrain you? Bibi Dong said. Bibi Dong said, the opposite is the movement of the Tao, and the weak is the use of the Tao. When you gradually have a strong power, you can also achieve the point of ignoring the rules or even changing the rules. The rules will no longer be your bondage. On the contrary, it becomes with your tools. Why should your destiny be tied to Dai Mubai at that time? The teacher is right, and your talent is not worse than your big sis. Dai Mubai can hide, and you can also hide. At the end of your cultivation, even if the gap with your big sis is large, you can still get closer. This gap can even kill your big sis. 16 Yekyu said. Zhu Zuqing nodded, his heart suddenly understood. Why should I bind own destiny to Dai Mubai, the self-willing and degenerate person? Seeing Zhu Zuqing's awakening appearance, Bibi Dong and Shiliu Yekyu looked at each other and gave thumbs up one after another. Another pair of Mandarin ducks was ruthlessly broken up. Well, you tell me this, then I will not hide your identity. Bibi Dong said, I am Bibi Dong, the current Pope of Martial Soul Temple. Zhu Zuqing's face was slightly taken aback, and then he looked at Bibi Dong in astonishment, unable to speak for a while. Isn't it? Bibi Dong smiled. Zhu Zuqing was silent. Unlike Xingluo Tiandu, the two empires that emphasize royal inheritance, Martial Soul Palace also emphasizes inheritance, but the strength of the past dynasties is the pinnacle of the world. In terms of strength, she has become completely the strength of the most powerful ruler on the mainland. You tell me what to do. Zhu Zuqing asked cautiously. Zhu Zuqing, who was born in a big family since childhood, naturally understands the truth. Sometimes, it's rare to be confused. The more you know, the faster you die. You are willing to join the Martial Soul Hall and become my disciple. Seeing that the time has come, Bibi Dong stretched out an olive branch and said, come to my Martial Soul Hall, I can provide you with the best education. In the future, it may not be impossible to catch up, or even surpass your big sis. Become your disciple. This is indeed a big temptation. If she can become a disciple of the Pope, she doesn't even have to cultivate to title Douluo, and the rules of the Star Luo Empire Zhu family cannot control her, but, why did you choose me? Zhu Zuqing asked. Your talent may not be outstanding at the level of top genius, but you have the heart to become stronger. No matter how talented you are, I can help you improve. Bibi Dong said. Zhu Zuoqing came to Bibi Dong without hesitation, completed the apprenticeship, and said, Zhu Zuoqing has seen the teacher and the senior sister. Bibi Dong smiled and said, I will give you something as your gift. Speaking, Bibi Dong took out an immortal grass from the soul guidance device and supported it with soul power. It was a white delicate flower that looked as spotless as a green lotus and white couple. Bibi Dong handed it to Zhu Zuoqing and smiled and said, this flower is called Narcissus Jade Muscle Bone. Its function is to moisturize the muscles and strengthen the bones, and the air is invigorated. When taking the pulse, only eat the petals and suck the stamen at the end to absorb its effects. It also needs to be stimulated by soul power, bamboo clear, remember, you must be calm to absorb its essence, it will ascension your strength and improve your talent. Thank you, teacher. Zhu Zuoqing took the Narcissus Jade Muscle and Bones, walked alone to a separate corner and sat down, following Bibi Dong's method to absorb the medicinal power of the immortal grass. After giving Zhu Zuoqing a gift, Bibi Dong looked to the side of 16 Yekyu. In addition to being not a twin martial soul and not a Xiantian 20 level full soul power, Bibi Dong was already very heaven-defying, but she had not yet absorbed it. Immortal grass, the talent can still be ascension, what else is more suitable for her in the fairy grass in my hand? After thinking about it, Bibi Dong took out another immortal herb from the soul guidance device. It was a red trembling, soft and crisp fairy grass, which looked very simple, just composed of red grass leaves. The top of the grass blade resembles the crown of a chicken, but if you observe carefully, you can find that it is unique, and the veins of the leaves are actually red gold. As soon as this grass came out, the temperature in the whole room suddenly ascending. This thing is called coxcomb and phoenix quai. Don't chew or swallow. You must gather your soul power, no matter how painful you are, you have to endure it, otherwise you will fall short. The effect of this thing is very obvious, it should greatly ascension your spirit power and flame effect. Once you give up halfway, the effect of the medicine will be greatly reduced. Bibi Dong said to 16 Night Autumn. The martial soul of 16 Nights Autumn is the Black Rose Dragon. In addition to plants, this dragon has another characteristic, that is, its powerful flame ability. Its flame does not reach the extreme fire, but it is also close to the extreme. The reason why Bibi Dong gave this flower to 16 Night Autumn is that she hopes 16 Night Autumn will be able to ascension the martial soul flame to the extreme. If it reaches the extreme, then Black Rose Dragon will be a super martial soul. In fact, whether it is the martial soul hall or the Shrek 7 devils, there are people who are suitable for absorbing this fairy grass. The martial soul hall is Yan, and the Shrek 7 devils are Ma Hung Jun. Originally, this fairy grass Bibi Dong was going to leave it to Yan. But now 16 Night Autumn is here, who is Yan? Chapter 100. Thank you, teacher. 16 Yekyu took the comb and Phoenix Quay also found a place to absorb the medicine power of the fairy product. I do not know how long it has been. Meow, a soft cat cry came out. Zhu Zuoqing stretched his waist, stood up from the meditation, realized that he had just lost his mind, and couldn't help covering his own mouth. Zuoqing, how much is your ascension level? Bibi Dong asked Zhu Zuoqing, who looked blushing. Zhu Zuoqing came back to his senses and said gratefully, not long ago, I was a 27th level soul master, and now I am at level 30. When I ask for a soul ring, I can be promoted to a soul master. Well, ascension 3rd level is not the limit of medicinal power. Bibi Dong said, the remaining medicinal power will also be displayed after you obtain the spirit ring, and the ascension of the fairy product has no side effects on you, on the contrary it improves your qualifications. It will make your later practice easier. The talent is beyond. As long as you have enough time, you can catch up with your big sis. Bibi Dong said. Zhu Zhu counted and nodded, and she could really feel the benefits of the immortal product. The two sat aside and watched quietly the process of Shiliu Yekyu absorbing the fairy herbs. After a while, a sound of dragons rang out. At the place where 16 Yekyu was meditating, a giant dragon made of rose petals emerged from behind her. Purple and fiery fireworks burned around her, and everything around her was heated by this fiery heat. The high temperature was incinerated. This is... Zhu Zuoqing is dumbfounded. Shouldn't the martial soul of Sister 16 Yekyu be a rose flower? How did it become a dragon? Is she also a twin, martial soul? Seeing Zhu Zuoqing's doubts, Bibi Dong explained, you senior sister, she is not a twin martial soul, but her martial soul is very special. The essence of martial soul is a dragon, but it can be disguised as a rose flower. Zhu Zuoqing slightly heads his forehead, looking directly at 16 Night Autumn. Bibi Dong felt that the hot flame temperature all over her body was reaching an extreme level, and immediately mobilized her spirit power, turning it into a barrier to block the extremely hot flame. But in the room, everything around is not so lucky: chandeliers, door panels, beds, wardrobes, floors and everything. They all burned, melted and even vaporized in the hot purple-black flame. Zhu Zuoqing didn't know exactly what kind of flame could reach this level. Bibi Dong gave a noun called, the ultimate fire. It seemed that this immortal product was given to the right person. Seeing Chu's changes, Bibi Dong nodded in satisfaction. If it is contaminated with an extreme attribute, then this martial soul can be defined as a super martial soul, which was originally the Black Rose Dragon of the top martial soul, but now it has become a super martial soul directly after the flame ascension. Of course, if this fairy product is left to Yan among the 3 of Martial Soul Palace's golden generation, it is also possible to spur the evolution of his martial soul, improve the flame quality, and also have the opportunity to advance to the ultimate fire. However, it is not difficult for Bibi Dong to choose between Yan and 16 Night Autumn. The purple fireworks finally converged into the rose-colored dragon. Finally, Ichigoya opened her eyes, and she stretched out her hand to grab it, and the soul mark of the rose dragon appeared on the back of the hand. The soul mark was closed, and the rose dragon's figure faded away. After the hot flames passed, there was almost nothing left in this room. The floor was vaporized and a large hole was formed. The lava was tumbling, the walls were directly melted through, and hot gas was emitted around it. Fortunately, people around realized that something was wrong and there were no casualties. Bibi Dong ignored everything around him, came to 16 Night Autumn, and asked, "How are you feeling?" "Xianpin Ascension has gained my 5th level strength, and my flame ability has become very powerful, even without soul skills. By relying on fireworks, it can cause great attacks." 16 Yekiu said. Bibi Dong said, "Not bad, this room can't live, let's leave." After spending a certain amount of gold to compensate for the losses caused by the 16 Nights Autumn, Bibi Dong and 16 Nights Autumn, Zhu Zuoqing found a room in another hotel in Soto City. The next day, it was the time for Shrek Academy to sign up. The talents of 16 Night Autumn and Zhu Zuoqing have reached Shrek Academy's enrollment standards, but, as the future seed-level players of Martial Soul Temple Academy, Bibi Dong naturally has no plans to push them to Shrek Academy. What Shrek Academy can bring to them? Nothing, just an atmosphere, a spirit of teamwork, as much as possible to help them get better spirit rings. This, Bibi Dong's Martial Soul Temple Academy can also give them. As for infernal affairs, separation and differentiation, Bibi Dong felt even more unnecessary. She plans to form a second team, but there are not enough people. Where can she spare people to infiltrate Shrek Academy, and she hopes that Shrek will eventually come to her. In front of him, when the top 3 teams were champions, without the fairy products and being separated, she was really afraid that Shrek Academy would not be able to make that step. However, even though he didn't intend to divide the 7 Shrek monsters, the idea of going to Shrek Academy to get involved in trouble was more than that of Bai Dong, and it was even bigger. Shrek Academy only selects geniuses, so it doesn't matter if they don't accept others to humiliate others, and they also deduct hard-earned money from other people's families. Basically, the students who can apply for Shrek Academy are not of very good backgrounds, but they are confident in their talents. Every money they invest is hard-earned money. You put their money, it was deducted. Is it unknown to grab it? What kind of garbage college? What about your conscience? For this reason, Bibi Dong specially arranged a great conscience to pass. The original Shrek Academy was located in a village with more than 100 households. There was a wooden fence outside the village, which seemed to be used to guard against wild animals. There seemed to be a lot of people gathered at the entrance of the village. There is a table at the entrance of the village. Behind the table sits an old man in his 60s. On the arch of wood at the entrance of the village, there is a plaque that looks a bit tattered, engraved with 5 simple words. Shrek Academy. In front of these 5 characters, there is a green head, which looks like the head of a humanoid monster. Green, a little cute. The old man behind the table also wore a similar green round badge on his chest. It should be the school badge of Shrek Academy. There are about hundreds of applicants, many of whom are frowning, obviously not very satisfied with the environment here. However, the academy is a bit broken, but this is indeed an advanced Soul Master Academy recognized by the Martial Soul Hall. The old man sitting behind the table in charge of accepting the registration looked lazy, and the clothes on his body sounded simple, and looked like a village old man. The team is very long, each of them is eliminated family children, 12 years old, the Great Soul Master cultivation base, this has been able to eliminate most of the Soul Masters. They all looked disappointed and angry. They couldn't go to school after signing up, and the money couldn't be returned. The key is that they can't twist their elbows and can only eat this hard squeeze. Many families stayed and wanted to see this. Under harsh conditions, who can be admitted? After waiting for a long time, finally it was the turn of the unremarkable Ximenking family. Grandpa Ximen stood aside and closed his eyes to rest. Dad Ximenking took his grandson Ximen to the front quietly.
If you're enjoying the story so far and want to hear the next parts, don't forget to like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And if you'd like me to continue the series, drop a comment below letting me know. Your feedback and support keep these audiobooks going strong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.